I can see the fire coming off the.
And now, here's your host, Ray. Okay, let's only do that. No, that was so cheesy. I was trying to hope it would fade out and then do that. But hey, I get, you gotta be your own hype man sometime. Welcome to Ray's Cigar Lounge, episode 10 on there. I'm your host, Ray, and I thank you all for being here. This is going to be a fun one tonight. It's going to be episode 10, Cigars and Anime. We have a special guest. Mr. Hotbox is in the house tonight. Y'all give it up for him. He is here. We're going to be going over some anime. We got my man in the back, Hawkeye. Say hello to the people, Hawkeye.
What's up?
All right. So we got it going on here. So we are lighting up tonight the Asylum 13 right here. We're lighting up on our end. And Mr. Hotbox, I believe he is lighting up. What was it? I think you had an Opus X over there. You had an
Opus X Destino al Siglo, I think is what it's called.
Okay. Nice.
My first ever Opus X.
All right. And his first ever live stream on YouTube or in general. So we appreciate having him here, man. So, oh yeah. Awesome.
Let me light this thing up.
Oh goodness. Oh, that little lighter you were showing me earlier. we gotta send you a bigger one or something. He said he's got the man hands. He's trying to put it in there. So, oh yeah, man. Oh,
we're at 3XL in glove size.
Dang, son. 3X. I do an XL at work, but they have 2XL at work. I don't ever see a 3XL. But yeah. But Hotbox, do you want to go over a little bit about yourself and everything, and kind of what you do and what you're about? We got some comments coming in, but however you want to do it, yeah.
Hey, what's up, Shockproof? What's up, Randall? Yeah, I mean, my name's Joey. I've been smoking cigars, since before I was legally allowed to. But at that point in time, I didn't really pay much attention to what the cigars were. I typically just surface level judge the cigar, take a couple puffs on it, like, that's good, and I'll smoke it. Or, that's horrible, and want to throw it away. And it's only in the last couple of years where I've actually decided, I'm gonna try and slow down and try and decide, like, what about this cigar is what I like, what flavors am I actually picking up. So I'm starting to get more into that, and that's why I've started recently doing the reviews. It's mainly as a digital journal for me, but I'm just sharing it with the public. And so that's why if you're watching any of my content, I've cut out all of the me smoking, all of, any kind of faces I make, any of that kind of stuff. I just want it short, sweet. So when I want to go back and decide, okay, I've smoked that cigar, have a video on it, scroll through it quickly and be like, okay, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. I liked this about it. I hated this about it. And I thought it was a really good cigar, but overpriced. Okay, cool. And then I can refresh myself. Or if somebody's in the lounge, like you would ask me, like, hey, what did you think about that cigar? I can just send you the link and not make you sit through 15, 20 minutes of my review on it. You can just get the information because I want to talk to people more than have them watch my content. If they watch it, I'm okay with it. If they don't, I'm okay with it. I guess I don't care either way. I'm just me. Take me or leave me. Love me or hate me.
Love it. I love that. That hot box here, as real as it gets, man. So yeah. Although and I like that. It's you're short, straight to the point. No BS. That's it. And your videos around like 5-6 minutes long. You do it like that. So that's pretty good, man. I mean, I'm more like a, hey, look, here's nature, but let me finally get back to the cigar about 5 minutes into it. Oh, look, here's some more nature. Oh, let me cut it. But I get you though. Well, that's awesome.
There's nothing wrong with that, and people that choose to do it. It just I've spent so many years on YouTube, trying to learn how to edit has been a big adventure. And when there's something I'm wanting to learn how to do in the editing software, and I go to watch a tutorial video and I have to sit through 7-8 minutes of someone jabbering before they give me that tip that I'm looking for, it just gets highly irritating. And it kind of became one of those things where I don't want to sit through that anymore. So I end up watching so much content at 125 or 1.5 speed to get through that. And then once I get to a part that I care about, I slow it down.
I get that. And you wouldn't, and as you make your videos, you don't want to subject anybody to be like, oh, from their perspective, hey, you're looking for that too. I got you. No, I understand that completely, man. But yeah, man.
I've watched so many content creators because I spent years analyzing how to make good content, watching all the Think Media stuff and all these other people that, they make their living trying to tell people how to make good content. And one of the things was make the content you want to watch. And I was like, well, my biggest pet peeve is sitting through someone jibber jabber for 20 minutes, chewing the fat and fattening up the pig before they actually get to the meat of the content. And I'm like, I don't want to be that person because I would irritate myself if I was watching it.
Right. No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Especially you'll see like random articles. They'll be like, well, here's how you do this, and have a lot of fluff, and then it won't even get to the main piece. Yeah, that can be irritating. Just be like, you made me scroll through all this, and then you finally get to the point, and I'm just so irritated at the point I don't want to look at it anymore.
I look up for the DaVinci Resolve tips. I look at the shorts because they're less than a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, finally, I get so happy when I find someone like the creator Daniel Batal, who does like DaVinci Resolve for noobs, and it's like one thing, like how to do one specific thing in DaVinci Resolve, and it's short, sweet, to the point, show you how to do it and get out of there. I'm like, thank you. I'm so happy when he has a short that's covering the thing I'm looking for.
Good. Awesome. And I think that's probably why I guess shorts on YouTube too, just cut to get to the point. And so, I mean, you want to watch the long thing. If you're just big fans of it, watch it, or like you, Joe, you got the other stuff to do. Get that and do it like that. So yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
But I'm in the middle of editing. The last thing I want to do is sit through the 15-20 minute video. Like I just want to get that thing, get out of there, and get back to editing.
That's how it was. Yeah, with what was I was trying to put my banner on the channel. I used Canva, but the lady was like, okay, here's how we do this and this. I'm like, step 5. Let me get to this point. Okay, let me watch that point again, and then I got you, man.
It's kind of like when you're watching a porno and they do like 10 minutes of prequels before they get to anything.
I mean, you know what? That's actually relevant to this conversation. Surprisingly, Hawkeye.
I think it would be relevant.
Well,
but
I mean, I don't care why the pizza guy's there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
That's not what I'm watching this for.
I mean,
I'm not there for the acting.
Exactly.
I didn't come to watch a plumber fix a pipe. I come to watch him lay the pipe.
Yes. Yeah. Let's leave it right there. But yes. Point taken, Hawkeye. Ladies and gentlemen, Hawkeye.
And we're canceled.
Yeah, and they've already pulled it. Look, they already pulled us off. Look, no. No, but thank you everybody for showing up. I am smoking on the Asylum 13, and Joey, we went to Cracker Barrel last weekend, and we found the Big Red drink on there. It's very very, yeah, like I think Hawkeye was saying, very strawberry. Very,
Yeah.
what is it?
It's like strawberry cream soda.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Strawberry cream soda. It's okay, but it's not quite my favorite. But I'll get into it. Pear's okay with this, but
I'll stick to my Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Big Red, I really like it with like barbecue because you get that sweetness to go with all that savory.
yeah.
So like we have here in San Antonio, we have a huge barbacoa and Big Red festival, and
Ooh.
it's a great thing. So Mexican food is really good with it. Something really savory is what you want it for.
Okay.
Salty and savory. And you hit it with that. So I'm not sure how it would. I don't think I've ever tried it with pairing with a cigar.
Okay. Nice. I think that would be a good pairing, yeah, and sweet and savory and salty with that. And Nathaniel, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry to hear about your grandfather in the hospital there. No, but I appreciate you listening to us, man. Definitely, man. Definitely. Thank you, my man, Cigar Scope, Sober Cigars, all y'all being out here. Well, let's get right into it, y'all. The topic of the night. Get into some anime.
Hang on.
Oh, go ahead.
Sober Cigar said something. Yeah, if you expect it though, it's okay. If you're not expecting, like I thought last week when we were on, you said it was more of a grape kind of thing. But if you're expecting it to be a strawberry kind of flavor, it was pretty good. My first.
Yeah. See, y'all said it, but then when I tried it, I was like, well, maybe it's not as strawberry. But then I was like, okay, it's a strawberry cream. So you mentioned that too, Hawkeye. Like when you try, you're like, well, it's not quite for me. And then I was like, well, it can't be. I don't know, but yeah, you're right. You're right though. You're right, but it's all right. It's not too bad. A little sweeter than I want it to be, but it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right though. It's all right. Oh man, anime, cigars, and anime. And I was looking up before we started. Actually, One Piece of all things, the character Smoker with the two cigars in his mouth. I'm gonna start with that. I think he was a lieutenant in the military there, and his fruit was two cigars. You know, doing his thing, constantly fighting Luffy and the gang. So I thought that I'm like, there are characters, that just smoke cigars that are in anime and all sorts of, history and things like that. But it's just pretty interesting and stuff like that.
Smoker is definitely one of those people. I mean, that is his devil fruits, the smoke power. So he can turn himself into smoke and do whatever he wants to and disappear into the wind and reappear in smoke, which is pretty cool. But I thought it was really funny. I'm like, doesn't that man ever get sick? That he always has two cigars in his mouth.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny. There's other characters in One Piece that do smoke cigars that you probably haven't gotten to yet because, you've told me before that you haven't gotten too far into it. But because I think you said that you were just coming up into Alabasta, and there's a cigar smoking villain there.
Another one? Oh,
yeah. Well, you remember, technically, by supporting the pirates, we're supporting the villains. The Navy's supposed to be the good guys.
Yeah.
They're the world government. They're supposed to be the good guys. Granted, the whole show is you're rooting for the bad guys who are actually the good guys, and the quote unquote good guys are actually the bad guys.
Yeah. It's an interesting one for sure. Yeah. Everyone's chasing down Luffy thinking he's like destroying things. And he's like, he's trying to just, I don't know, just do an adventure and just kind of live his life and do his thing and look for,
That's I mean,
but yeah.
I used to go to the Ren Fair a lot. I spent many years going to the Ren Fair, and part of that culture that kind of stuck with me is I've grown up really believing liberty or death. That's one of my first tattoos I ever got. Granted, it's probably reversed. It looks like it's reversed, but it's something I really do. Oh no, it's not. Okay, but it's something that really matters to me. Like I care about liberty, which is just freedom. Do what I want, do what you please, as long as you aren't hurting anybody. I don't care.
Yeah.
So let people do what they want, and that's what about One Piece, why I connect with the pirates and why I connect
Okay.
with the pirate culture in real life.
I was
It's
gonna
just about,
ask.
about freedom.
I saw some of your photos. You kind of do the Renaissance fair. I'm like, I wonder if it connects to like One Piece and kind of like his whole cultural thing there. Because I was looking for another thumbnail for that, but I was trying to crop out the other people that were in the back. But it looked cool. You had the mug. You're like, and I was like, that's the one I wanted you. But I'm like,
Oh
I don't really
yeah,
know that little person in the back. I'm like,
I'm not.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not sure which mug it is, but I'm pretty sure
that
it's
was
my
cool.
because the mug that I had custom made for me. I'm trying to see if I can spot it over there.
Yeah.
That
Nice.
thing, I think we measured it. It holds 140 ounces of liquid
Mm.
because I'm a big dude. I can't hide it. I'm 6 foot tall, 6'1" if I'm wearing shoes, and I think in that photo I was probably about 510 pounds, and
Oh
right
wow.
now I'm probably in the higher 500s. I
Oh
mean,
wow.
my biggest I ever got was a little over 600, and then I was like, "Yo, I can't stay that. Like my
Yeah.
blood
Oh
pressure
wow.
was too high. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't stay that big.
Right. Take care
Being
of yourself.
having
Yeah.
my medical issues, whatever. So I've been slowly trying to drop the weight, but
No,
hey,
no doubt. Good. Yeah.
you
Take
know,
care of yourself, Hotbox. Yeah.
don't want to drop weight too fast either. That's not good for you. So
Right. Yeah. But you filled out very well as a pirate. You look good in it, man. I will definitely say that. Definitely
well,
say that.
what's
Yeah.
funny is being my size, I can't go to the Ren Fair and participate in that and think I'm going to go to one of those shops and find a coat that fits me or find a shirt that fits me or find pants that fit me or boots that fit me. So all of my entire outfit was custom handmade.
Right.
I had to go get it basically tailored and made for me. So like my pirate coat alone, I paid for all the materials for it and I found the designer to sew it. And if I would have bought that in a shop, that would have been a $4,000 coat.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
the pewter buttons alone on that thing, which I believe there's 22, were $8 a piece.
Mm.
Get the heck out of here,
Mm.
fly!
Right. Dang.
It's not cheap to look good,
No.
as you could say in that world.
No. Yeah. I bet. Yeah. No. Like I've heard cosplayers and people spending like thousands just for small pieces of armor and custom made stuff that they put on there. And I'll look up what does somebody have? It was not an Iron Man suit, but something similar. There's some kind of armor piece that they had. It's almost up to $10,000 just the helmet and just the plates, not even the legs. I was like, what? Yeah,
Did
I
it
was like,
work?
Yeah.
I mean, it looked really good,
I
but
mean, did it function as Iron Man?
no,
Oh, I'm not paying that shit.
no, no.
I mean, if I can buy a suit for $10,000, makes me Iron Man. I'm all for that.
You know what, Hawkeye? That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, but man, Cigars and Bandit, good to see everybody coming out, and just coming out, we're hanging out and chilling. But yeah, man, a lot of characters in the anime. And what's crazy with anime? What somebody said that Pokemon is about 60% of like Japan's like economy and their whole structure. And I
Oh,
was like, I mean, it's huge over there, but man, it's huge over there, man.
that
Wow.
was ever since what was it, like 94, 95 when it came out in Japan? It just
Mhm.
took over the market like a madman. And to this day, it's still massive,
Yeah.
huge.
It's massive over
Well, I mean,
there.
they made like 80 games for it
It's a ton of stuff. Yeah.
over about 15 different platforms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a lot of games, no doubt.
Yeah.
I was watching completely irrelevant to anime, but I was watching a video talking about like Final Fantasy and like the history of some like the older Final Fantasy games off PlayStation 1, and it just so happens to coincide where a lot of those big forever loved games like Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8 all came out around the same time that Pokemon did.
Yeah.
And how even though Final Fantasy 7 was massive and considered one of like the best games of all time, compared
Mhm.
to Pokemon, it sold like I want to say 10% of what Pokemon did in its first couple years.
Mm.
Like Pokemon is incredibly huge.
Oh yeah, it's massive. Yeah, massive.
Uh-huh.
Hawkeye, you were saying earlier you were playing Final Fantasy VII back in the day. You remembers when it
Yeah.
had the 4 discs. When it came out back in the day, you were on the 3rd one, and you wanted to get the 4th one at some point and play it.
No, I had the 4th one. They sold them in a set.
Okay.
It was like $20 for the whole game, but I never. It was just such a long game. I mean, for 4 discs, even back then, that's a long game.
Mm-hmm.
I just ended up not having the time to beat it.
Yeah, I think my first ever playthrough of that game when I was probably 12. I want to say it took me every bit of like 80 hours to get through all 4 discs.
Yeah, it's Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that.
And then, of course, going through and trying to beat Ruby Weapon. I spent hundreds of hours trying to figure out how to beat that damn thing. And I never did. I get so frustrated. Spend hours trying to well, maybe this material combo, maybe this material combo. And it became a whole big deal that I just okay, I'm never beating this guy. I give up. He wins. Ruby wins. I give up.
That's what I'm saying right here.
Mm.
No, it's not even close to Ash. That's why I was messing with it.
Nice. Very nice there. And anybody in the audience has any anime or cigar related questions, we're right here. So come on down, leave your questions and comments down below. We're just rolling right along. So been playing, I know, speaking of Bleach, been playing it all week. It's been my jam, been my game. Playing Bleach, The Rebirth of Souls. Basically the retelling of the entire story of Bleach. And they've just gotten to the part with Aizen at the very end. And I think they're going to do season passes where every so often they're going to unlock different stories, but it goes way past that. So, but that's been my jam. And right now I'm wearing the Dragon Ball. No, this is
I don't know. It's in Japanese.
Yeah, it's the Dragon Ball Z. It's just from the tournament saga, right before everybody getting old and stuff, and right before they face Majin Buu. So that's kind of the kick we've been on as well. So yeah, man, just hanging out, chilling. Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched all of the entire. I think everything from Dragon Ball through Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super. I really like it. I grew up watching it in English, so I continued watching it all in the English dub, and I never realized how prolific those voice actors were through so many other animes. And every time I watch something new, I'm like, oh, I recognize that voice. That's Peter Seitz or Patrick Seitz, and because I wanted to do voice acting, and so it was a huge little dream I had. So I started learning who the voices were, the voices behind and stuff like that. And so I'm I'm gonna deep dive, and I have my favorite American voice actors and things like that. And it's really cool and interesting to see the crossover some of those guys actually have. Patrick Seitz, a lot of people don't know, or they don't realize that he's actually the voice of Garrosh Hellscream in World of Warcraft for I believe it's the Cataclysm expansion.
Okay.
And I'm that's interesting. And then I play a lot of From Software games, and he's Handler Walter in the new Armored Core 6 game. So I booted that up for the first time. Hey, that's Frankie from One Piece.
I know it sticks with you, man. I've heard that guy's voice somewhere. Yeah. Nice. Have you gone to any, anime conventions, meeting any of these actors or anything like that?
I have not.
Okay.
I've been kind of to one. So back when my, I would say early 20s, I went to a Magic the Gathering tournament in Houston, and at I cannot remember the name of the convention center there, but it's in downtown Houston. It's massive, and it's so big that they can have 5 or 6 conventions going on at the same time in the same building.
Oh,
so
wow.
One section was the Magic the Gathering Grand Prix. Downstairs, they were having a car show. On the other end of the place, they were having a rave. And then right next to me, next to the Magic the Gathering, I believe it was called Anime Matsuri. And there was a lot of people in cosplay and going in and out of that place, but I was there to play Magic. and so like I got to talk to some of those people, but I never got to go in.
Hmm.
And really, since we're here in Texas and Crunchyroll's based out of Dallas, I believe, those voice actors, you can see them and find them inside card shops and Funko Pop places and get to meet them and see them and talk to them on a much more personal basis than at any of those conventions. If you're in another state, you're only going to get to see them at San Diego Comic-Con, and that's probably one of the only 2, maybe 3 times in the entire year that they'll be there.
Yeah.
But those guys travel around Texas. They can easily hop a flight from Dallas to San Antonio and just hang out for the weekend and fly back. They make really good money, fly home, and have a great time. So they're constantly down in all over Texas, traveling around. So I've never made a point to really meet celebrities. If I see them, I'll be like, "What's up?" I treat everybody the same. I don't care how rich, how famous you are. I don't care how popular you are. We're all human. I'm going to treat you the same, which is cool because a lot of people don't treat them that way. They fanboy out, and it makes them immediately in their head, subconsciously, they're like, "Oh, that's a fan. They're probably some kind of strange person." And I'm just like, "What's up, homie? You want a shot?"
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Okay, that's my people."
There you go. I've always wanted to meet, and I know it's not quite anime related, but Nolan North from Uncharted. I've always wanted to meet him, and he's just like, he always just has with anybody he comes up to, or anybody who comes up to him, he's just the same, very genuine all the way throughout. It's like, like he's just meeting like a really good friend. All of his pictures, all of his posts, like, hey, so that's really cool. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of these people that are, the voice actors for these casts. I'm not going to name drop, but there's one very prominent voice actor that's very well known, but he gave himself a bad rap because I guess a little bit of ego came in, and it took a while for him to realize, like, that's not the image you should be putting out there to people. It makes you look bad. It taints your image, but it also taints the image of the anime that you're voice acting in. And I'm happy to see that person has rectified that situation.
Yeah,
because to see him backstage, being candidly filmed by somebody waiting in line, hearing him scream at production assistants, and being a diva, like, people are not going to like that. Like,
right. Okay, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Gonna say, if I was gonna meet people off a show, I would rather meet the writers that are putting it together. The actors really have nothing to do with the show other than reading the scripts and playing the role that was given to them by the writers.
Yeah. Well, I have everybody that watches and loves One Piece. There's they just came out with the One Piece live action show over on Netflix, and I'm one of those people that I thought it was, the show live action was cheesy. People were like, "Oh, it's the best thing ever." I'm like, it's no better than all the other bad anime adaptations. But because it's One Piece, people are just glazing it. And for me, it's like, it's horrible. It's way too rushed. They're trying to pack way too much content into this stuff. And there's scenes where they've said, like, that you could tell that the people that are writing for the show know that that's an important scene, but they don't quite understand what made it important. And for one of the specific scenes that I'm going to mention is in the very beginning, which I know you've seen, and it's very early on in One Piece when Zoro's finally debuted, and you see him tied to the crucifix, waiting to be, waiting to spend his 30 days in trial, and then he can be let off, whatever. And that little girl, sneaks over the wall, risking her life to give him a rice ball, an onigiri. And as soon as she goes to hand it, Helmeppo shows up and slaps it out of her hand, knocks it on the ground, and stomps it together. Then Luffy shows up, punches him, makes him leave, and Zoro asks the little girl, "Hey, give me that." She's upset, and like, "Oh, I made this for you," and he's like, "Okay, I don't care. I'm starving to death. Let me eat that rice ball." And like the whole point was she risked her life to give him that rice ball. Well, in the live action, they take all of that that risk of her to do that away by having Luffy and Zoro and Zoro in a bar, and this little girl walks up to Zoro and like tugs on him and tries to give him an onigiri, and then Helmeppo's character walks in and slaps it on the ground and stomps it on the floor in the bar. And it's like, you just took all of the emotional impact of why that rice ball mattered so much away. So it's like, it made no sense. I'm like, yes, the little girl gives Zoro a rice ball. That's cool. They got that much, but like they lost the whole meaning behind it.
I'll never understand like these remakes, these adaptations. I guess the live action stuff that goes on with Netflix. It's I don't know. They did one with Death Note too, and it was just weird and just like in the American version of it. I'm like, it's just
well, I would say it probably comes from the fact that they produce content so fast, and they don't release it week by week, so they're just they don't batch release things. They just release it all at once and let it go. So that puts them in this cycle of release it and immediately try and find the next thing. And I feel like what they're doing with the anime live action adaptations is like, hey, that's a super popular, well-loved series. Let's go ahead and just start filming it now, so when we need some kind of something to throw on in between our productions of these other Netflix originals, let's go ahead and throw this in there. And they're just they're absorbing everything that they can, so they can always just regurgitate it back out when they run out of other content to license or produce.
Makes sense.
And for me, like, to harp back on the live action One Piece, their first season per episode budget is more than what Game of Thrones was spending in their final season per episode. And I'm like, the animation's nowhere near as good. Granted, like, to me, it's like, how are you spending all of this money per episode, and like Luffy punching and is stretching, it just looks like a piece of, like, it doesn't even look like rubber. It looks super cheesy. Like, there's no texture on the stretch. It's just like it looks like a bad Photoshop stretch job. And I'm like, we're in 2025. How does the animation for this stuff look worse than it did from like the Fantastic Four from the late 90s and early 2000s?
Yeah, that one was bad. Yeah, that movie was bad. But yeah, that's crazy. Everyone's cutting corners and doing stuff like that. Like you were saying, they're just putting stuff on there now, and we're just, I don't know.
They're just throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, and because of a delusional, overhyped fan base, I'm guessing what it is. They're like, "Oh, Oda signed off on it, so it must be perfect." I'm like, that Oda, he might visit set, he might be okaying certain things, but there's no way he's on set every day making sure that every little thing is correct to his thing. It's not true. He signed off on them having the rights to do it. Yeah. And if they want to have a major change, maybe they submit that to him, and he's like, okay, go for it. What does he care? He got the bag already.
Right.
It's not like if the live action's horrible, it's not like it's going to reflect badly on the anime or even on the manga. Those fans are going to be those fans regardless.
Yes. That is true. That's true. Yeah. And I'm glad they can differentiate between, the Netflix stuff and then the stuff now, or the actual anime and stuff. And it's different. It's different.
If that live action was not One Piece, but any other anime adaptation, people would have hated it.
Man. Oh, goodness. Oh. Well, all right. That was a good point, man. Yeah. Old Pirate Bourbon. You said, cheers, friends. Drinking any bourbon, whiskey while you're smoking your cigar? Oh, not tonight, old Pirate Bourbon. I'm just drinking on some Big Red tonight, and I got the Asylum 13. And Hotbox, you drinking on anything? Why you pairing? You got a pairing?
Just my old regular sweet tea.
Okay, got some sweet tea. Hawkeye, I think he got a Dr. Pepper.
I always drink Dr. Pepper. I'm an addict.
That's okay.
I'm a caffeine addict.
I understand that too. But yeah, that's what we have on here. So, talking about cigars and all things anime. So give the comments and questions in the comments section. We'll go through it, and now we'll go on Well, on to our next topic here, man. And I know, Hotbox, we were, and me and Hawkeye too, y'all can jump in. We were talking about this a little bit right before we streamed live. I know you were mentioning how you kind of transitioned into watching certain anime, which I thought was really interesting. Where you started. I know for me, I started. When did I start? I think like I was like 9 or 10 years old. I just turned it on, and there it was. And I think it was like Dragon Ball Z on Toonami. Everybody remembers the old Toonami days, with Tom and everything going on there, the late nights and all the different shows. That introduced us all to the '90s of anime, at least for me, and early on, and stuff that you never heard of. So that was pretty cool. That was my intro, all the after school stuff and watching it and everything in the late nights. But Hotbox, you said the way you got into it was a little interesting. If you want to share that.
So of course, I was born in '88, so of course, I'm a preteen in the '90s. So there was no avoiding the Pokemon craze, and I was a religious Pokemon watcher every day before school. Get on the bus and go be so excited to go talk to my friends about what happened. And later on, a little bit later on, I got into watching, the Toonami or the Cartoon Network stuff. And so that's when I got into Dragon Ball Z. But I never really watched any anime outside of that. I was like, DBZ's the best. Nothing can touch it. I'm not interested in watching anything else. And I had a lot of friends. I was a jock in school. I played football, but I always had I was the bully to the bullies. So I stepped in to defend the people playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the people playing Magic the Gathering or the people that would talk about anime and stuff like that, even though I didn't care about what they were doing. And so I would hear all these things about all these different shows, and I was just like, anime nerds. But I wasn't going to bully them about it. And for me, seeing those kids back then, they were so hardcore into anime, it kind of made me be like, that's weird. And It made me, like, it turned me off to that. And it wasn't until after I had my kid and he, got to about 3.5, 4 years old, that I got tired of watching all the little kid shows. I got tired of watching Blue's Clues, Bubble Guppies, Paw Patrol, and things like that. And so I finally, talked to the wife, and I was like, hey, can we start switching over to some more anime stuff? And she's like, you want to watch anime? And I was like, it's got to be better than Paw Patrol. Like, I cannot. I've watched so many episodes of Blue's Clues, like 2-hour long compilations, learning all the songs, and like my kid was obsessed with it. Like, we got to get him off of Blue's Clues. And so we were like, okay, well, we're gonna watch. Let's start with Pokemon. So we watched every bit of Pokemon all the way through. And I was like, okay, well, I still don't want to go back to Bubble Guppies and stuff. So what's next? So I started looking up, like, what are the most, like, loved animes? What are the most watched? What are the most, hyped or whatever, most well loved? And I just started going through the list with him one by one and just knocking them off the list. So the first one we started with was Hunter x Hunter. Nice. And, my kid at the time was probably 3.5. And so I know anime, it can be violent, it can be, more adult themed episodes, certain things like that. So I ended up watching almost every one of these shows that I watched with him twice, once to pre-screen the episode and then once to actually watch it with him. And if there came a scene that was too graphic, too violent, or too adult themed, if you've watched Berserk, you know what I'm talking about, adult themes, or Goblin Slayer, there's adult themes in that a child has absolutely no business watching. So I was like, I got to pre-watch everything. Yep. So I'd pre-watch it, and I knew, like, hey, I'd take notes, like, hey, at the 15-minute mark, pause the video, tell them to turn away so you can skip forward past that scene and come back to it. So that's where it came through. And so I went through, it started with Hunter x Hunter, and then once Hunter x Hunter was over, we went to Naruto, and it went into Black Clover, 7 Deadly Sins, and it's the list now has become. I've sent you part of that list. Yeah. And every day as I'm thinking, I'm like, oh man, I was watching Crunchyroll the other day. I'm like, oh, I forgot to mention Black Clover. Oh, I forgot to mention Seven Deadly Sins. Oh, I forgot to mention the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse show, the new spinoff of Seven Deadly Sins. And I'm like, it's so much.
There's a lot to it. Yeah, there's a lot of it. No doubt, man. There's no doubt about that.
Since you watched a lot of that, I can't remember if it was Toonami. Oh no, I think it was Adult Swim.
Mm-hmm. Nate said on this, Nathaniel said on the screen, OG Toonami Adult Swim. Yep.
So, do you remember the show Reboot?
No, not Reboot.
It was like, it was a very weird show, but I remember I would watch that show, and then right after that was Dragon Ball Z, and it always reminded me of like those people are like living in the Matrix, because it was all like surf, like jump on like hoverboards and like it's a really weird show. If you've never watched Reboot, it's not super good, especially at this age. But I remember back then it was like, that's really, really weird. And like I would have dreams in my teenage years of like, why am I in this, like the movie Lawnmower Man? Did you ever watch that movie?
Lawnmower Man? Hawkeye, are you familiar with?
He just cuts grass for a living. I don't know. I've never seen it.
I've never heard of Lawnmower Man.
So it's a same thing. Basically, a guy gets sucked into a computer.
Oh.
So it's
Jumanji.
Like, kind of. It's just like almost like Tron, things like that. Like super futuristic, super like out there, and it's completely not based in any kind of reality. And I just remember I would have dreams about Reboot and be like, oh my god, the big main guy. I don't remember any of the names of the guys in that show. I just remember the bad guys coming to get me.
There are dreams, there are things like that, yeah. There are some weird, scary moments.
It was like, I believe the order was Sailor Moon, Reboot, Dragon Ball Z, and then Cowboy Bebop. And I could not, I tried so many times to watch Cowboy Bebop right after Dragon Ball Z. I'm like, nope, this is boring. Like, how can you put that show after Dragon Ball Z? Be so hyped after Dragon Ball Z, be like, yeah, let's go. And then it's like this jazzy noir show. I'm like, all right, I gotta turn this off. I gotta find something else.
Oh no, you're good. I played trumpet in school, and I would try to get the little part, the little intro to Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, but yeah, I watched a couple of episodes of Cowboy Bebop. It was okay, but yeah, it's something that's gradually you got to get into, and then it gets a little bit better over time when you watch it. But I haven't watched the entire series of Cowboy Bebop either. It was that what was on Adult Swim? Big O was on the other one, Voltron, and then you had, I love the Gundam series. They had Gundam Wing, Zero, G Gundam. A lot of people don't like G Gundam. I love G Gundam. It's awesome. But that was my jam back in the day. I even played the little video games on PS1 too, so that was a lot of fun doing those.
Oh man, if you were a big fan of Gundam stuff, you would probably really like that FromSoft game, Armored Core 6. You're a Gundam pilot. And like I tried playing those games back in the day. I'm like, oh, they're so clunky and hard to play. But I was like, I was a big fan of that stuff because one of my favorite games of all time is Xenogears, and in that game, you're basically a man-made manufactured weapon as a pilot for quote unquote gears, which a gear is a Gundam. And in that game, like that got me into wanting to play, like get into that, and then it's like, okay, the other games that have mech combat just weren't fun. They seemed like too tanky. Like I'm just driving around a robot that looks like a robot, or like a humanoid robot, but it's really just a tank with shooting guns. And like there wasn't a whole lot of fun. And I had no idea about From Software games, like for the original like Armored Core games at that time. And I've gone back to look after playing Armored Core 6 as my first Armored Core game. And I was like, oh, this was so awesome. Like, were all the games this good? So I've gone through and like watched videos by other content creators, but specifically one that I really like that covers FromSoft content is Vati Vidya. and he did a really long video where he kind of summarized and kind of explained each one of the previous Armored Core games. And I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't be able to play those games. They were the controls were so clunky. Like to look looking up and down was the triggers instead of like up and down on the D-pad because that was other controls. Like it was so people had to figure out their own way to hold the controller, which was actually turning the controller backwards and playing it underneath. To be able to, it was better ergonomically to play it that way.
That's crazy. Yeah, that is.
I'm like, I couldn't do that. But the new Armored Core game is like this. Like when I was a kid, wanting to play a mech game, like this was everything I wanted it to be. It's not just when you want to jump up in the air, you're not just jumping straight up and down or left or right. You can fly up at an angle, at a 45-degree angle this way, or at a 45-degree angle but still going forward, or this way, or you could go backwards. So it was like a full 360 range of motion, which was so fun. And like the speed of the game was interesting.
That's kind of like how just like you were saying with those weird awkward controls, especially on some of those Gundam games now. Yeah, I was just like, well, how do I fire this? And like, I'm like, you would think it would be like the right trigger or something. No, it's just this other button and just moving around, and the controls are already inverted. I'm like, well, wait a second now. I'm moving backwards. I'm supposed to be moving forwards. It's just like, oh, but yeah.
You think you're going forward, you go backwards. You think you're looking down, you look up. It's like, oh my God. And From Software, I don't know if you've ever played any of their games, but they're very well known for being very difficult games that do absolutely no hand-holding. So literally the first Armored Core game, you start and you're immediately thrown into a mission and you're not told, there's no tutorial, nothing. And so you're immediately, as soon as you spawn in, you're immediately being attacked by another AC pilot. And you're sitting there trying to figure out how to control yourself and how to shoot the weapons, this, that, and the other, while this dude's just murking you. And then you fail, and you can't progress until you get past that guy. And then once you get past him, the game's like, okay, well now we're gonna go ahead and let you actually access the game. And I'm like, yeah, I would have rage quit that so hard back in the day. I already did it with Bloodborne. Not Bloodborne. It took me probably 2 weeks to get past the first tutorial boss in Dark Souls 3.
Lord, don't even talk about Dark Souls. What is the other one? Mortal Shell? Oh God, no. I was talking about this the other day. Actually, right before I came on here, I got those games from GameStar. You want to talk about rage quitting, Hotbox? I got those. I didn't know anything about these. I'm like, I've heard these games. They're tough. They're overhyped and everything. Picked up the CD. I'm not even talking about 30 minutes later. I took it back to the games. I was like, I'm done, sir. Give me my money back. This is awful. I walked. The dragon, I think, just touched me. I died. I stood up. The zombie just slapped me. I died. It was so bad. I was like, sir, please take this back. Please.
My first experience with FromSoft games was Bloodborne, because I like spooky. I like spooky things. Halloween was always my favorite holiday. So I'm like, what? This is like a dark Victorian era style video game. Like, this looks cool. This looks awesome. And I'm watching other people in segments of like playthroughs. I'm like, this game doesn't look that hard. I'm like, no, that guy's just really good. Because I finally got it when it was on the greatest hits. I bought it for $20. And, I thought it was going to be like any other game, hack and slash. You can just chop through all the stuff and get through it. And I had a very, very hard time. And I'm like, okay, I sat there for like 3 hours, and then you die and you go back to, you lose all your progress. You lose all your supplies. You lose all the stuff. Plus, when you die in Bloodborne, you have your healing potions, your blood vials, but when you use one, they don't replenish when you die, so you can run out of them, and then you're stuck running around with no healing potions, even though you've respawned. You don't have the souls to go buy more, so you're like, I got to go kill this one guy, and then I got to go back and reset the world, and then go back and kill him again to replenish the health potions, the blood vials. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm done with this game. Like I own it. I love collecting books, so I own the official strategy guides that are like this thick, that are hard, like the hardcover books, and they weren't cheap, but I love the game. It's just like I can't play that game. Like it will be way too frustrated with it. Like no, like call me a noob, whatever. But I'm like whatever. Like of those games, I played like probably a good 100 hours into Dark Souls 3. But
wow. So you did better than me.
I never beat it. I decided one time, like, I need to get a bunch of souls, so I decided to go ahead and kill this one character to get access to a later part of the game early. So I knew that by killing this one character, if I could beat the boss that was going to force spawn in, called the Dancer, that I was going to be able to get past them and get to a spot where there's like one soldier that if I kill him once, I get like 3,000 souls, and he's right next to a bonfire. So I could just spawn in, kill him, return to the bonfire, and just like infinite loop this guy for souls to try and get my levels up quicker.
Right.
And I did that. I lost all the souls that I had, and then I immediately got like two-touched and killed. And I'm like, oh no, this is horrible. So I had to give up on those souls. And I went and played the game regular traditionally, and then ended up coming back after I'd gained like 10 or 15 levels. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to get this guy. And at the time, my girlfriend and our roommate loved to sit behind me on the couch watching me play Bloodborne. And they would be like, ooh, don't do that. Oh, he's going to get you. He's going to kill you. And I'm like, y'all got to stop. Like, y'all can't, like, I'm already, like, freaking out, like, trying to dodge and this, that, and the other. You got to do everything, like, perfectly. And I'm like, y'all got to stop. And it took me 3 weeks of trying for about 2 to 3 hours every other day.
Oof.
And I was like, they're always behind me watching me. I'd be like, get out of here. Let me go, I would wait till I was frustrated and then kick them out so I could try a couple more times. And I'm like, it's because y'all are in here talking to me that I can't beat it. And then I'd still get my butt kicked a few times. And then eventually, I get to the point where I want to throw my controller or want to punch this TV. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. Got to go outside.
Yeah.
And turn it off. And then finally, I had a random Friday off, but the girls had to work. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to get this thing. And I was like hyped up. I was like, I'm going to beat this thing today. I'm going to beat the Dancer. I'm going to beat the Dancer. Like, you can't stop me. You can't stop me. You can't stop me. But I went in like positive affirmations, right? And, I'm hyping myself up, but I knew secretly in the back of my head, I'm probably going to get my butt whipped all day long. And I went in and I'm like, woosah. All right. Clicked it on, beat it first try. I was like, that was the first time I ever put the controller down. I was like, yeah, woo, yeah, you're nothing. I was like, okay, okay, I'm addicted at this point. At that point, I was like, I love it. I freaking love it. So I continued playing Dark Souls 3, but then, that was that around 2019, and later, right at the end of 2019, we moved back from Houston out here back to San Antonio. And then beginning of February of 2020 is when my son was born. And then the month later, all the lockdowns happened.
Right.
So I got a new boar baby. We got COVID going on. I ain't got time to be playing games. So I never went back and replayed it. And it was on the Xbox, and I'm not an Xbox person. I'm a PlayStation fanboy. Right. So I'd much rather have had it. So I don't have the Xbox anymore. I have the game still, but I don't have the Xbox anymore. So it's like I can't even go back to play that. So the first one that I've ever actually officially beat was Elden Ring, which I love. I love that game. It's everything that From Software games are, but it's not so linear. So if there's something that's too difficult to you, you can be like, I can go over here and mess around for 50 hours before I come back to that thing that's making me mad. So like it's way more accessible to the average player, because I'm not a super gamer. I could never consider myself a professional. I'm there for fun. And once it stops being fun, I pivot, want to go somewhere else. Like, well, at least in that game, I can. There's a whole other part of the world I can explore.
There you go. I agree, man. Yeah,
But
play it for fun, but yeah, not for, yeah, not professionally, not anything like that. But I get it. Hawkeye, and I was playing the Bleach, the Rebirth of Souls, and there was just one guy at the end, and he was sitting next to me. He was like, "Dude, did you beat him yet? Have you finally beat him?" I'm like, "No." And I would knock down his little lives on the end, and I'd get right down to the end. I'd slip up, boom, start the whole thing over again. And I'm like, well, and then Hawkeye, I think he leaves. He watches me for like about 30, 40 minutes. Yeah. He leaves the room, and I'm like, oh, now I finally beat. I can go to the next progression of that story. So I get it, man. Yeah.
And I wasn't even doing anything. It ain't my fault.
And no, because you went
just watching gave him peer pressure, or gave him pressure.
It did. And then Hawkeye was like, dude, just hand me the control. Let me do it. I'm like, all right, fine. Yeah, I'm not doing too well here. So yeah, I can stand it back.
I'm not a PlayStation person or a complex game person.
No, he's got the Xbox.
Yeah, I got the Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a couple of them on there, but man, no, I get it, man. And also to Ben Smoking, you're welcome, man. I appreciate jumping in there. Appreciate the shout out on there also, man. Thank you.
I just relit this thing and it already went back out on me.
Oh, no.
I think my fan is having an effect on me. But yeah. So
far.
To kind of pivot back into the anime topic,
okay.
One thing I've found interesting is kind of the crossover with anime and video games.
Mm-hmm.
Anime has a huge cultural impact on not just teen boys and adults that watch the anime, but like the influences across other media is massive.
Yes.
So like I've always heard about Berserk, and I was like, I want to watch Berserk, and I've always knew that it was a dark show. But playing FromSoft games, I'd heard that there was a lot of things that were inspired within the games by Berserk. And I finally watched Berserk, and I'm like, I get it now. That's why. So if anyone hasn't watched Berserk, and you want to, but you don't kind of know what to do, where to start, because it's so fractured. Because you have the original 1997 anime, and then you have the couple of rehashings of the story in later years. I believe it was 2015 or 16 or 17, one of those 3 years. They did a couple of different like retellings, and it's such a fractured anime series that they've animated. And when I was doing my research to try and look up like what order should I watch this stuff in, what's the best way to watch it, I ended up stumbling upon a Reddit post by, I cannot remember the person's name, but if you search on Google Berserk Redux and you find the Reddit post, for Berserk Redux, you'll find a guy who has spent many hours, I'd probably say years of his life, going and re-editing all of the different times that it's been released in animation to put it in a certain order to make it make more sense and to tell a more complete story.
Okay.
And then he started off with the basic stuff, but every time a new release, like they decided to re-release Berserk the 1997, but a remastered version, and so every time something like that would come out, he would take those new higher quality, high fidelity animations and superimpose those over the original stuff. So it's quite literally like the best version and most complete version of that story you can find. And total, it's about 10 hours versus, and it tells a more linear story, starting with the Dark Swordsman arc going into the Golden Age, and finally, and then the show kind of climaxes with the eclipse, and then the stuff that happens after the eclipse in Berserk. I don't know if you've watched it. The eclipse is a whole different thing that we could talk about, but we'd have to be very, very careful about how we talk about that scene, because that was a very, very inappropriate, very dark scene. But I mean, the impact of that, like, that was when I finally watched that scene. That was the first time I was like, okay, I need a break. That I got to process what I just watched, and like sort out my feelings, because that was, I like dark, I like horror movies, but even that was just right there on what even I could handle, and I was
Now,
like, that was some dark stuff.
now I want to check that out now. Wow, Berserk, but just to see, I'm the same way. Hotbox, I like some dark scenes and some twists and turns there, but man, oof,
And
these
then
guys real dark. Like,
of course, finally watching Berserk, and the basically like the big oh crap moment in the entire series is the eclipse. And then, like, that was probably earlier. I was probably 32 when I watched that, and more recently a show's come out called Goblin Slayer, and in the very first episode of that anime, they have a scene that reminded me of what happened in the eclipse. I'm like, that was like in this show Berserk from back then. That was like the climax of the story, like the holy crap, I can't believe they did that moment. And like episode 1 of Goblin Slayer is like, yeah, we're gonna do that in the very beginning.
wow.
And I was like, just awestruck. I'm like, how, like, okay, like, where's this show gonna go? Have you seen Goblin Slayer at all?
I have not. I've seen some of Demon Slayer, but not Goblin Slayer.
Goblin
I know
Slayer,
the two are related in that sense, but
yeah, Goblin Slayer is an interesting show. I kind of appreciate that all the characters don't have a name. Their name is what they are or what they do. So the main character's name is Goblin Slayer because all he wants to do is kill goblins.
that's different.
And then the healer, the female healer of the party, she's the priestess. Why? Because she's a priestess. So she doesn't have a name.
Keeps it simple. Yeah,
So it makes it simple as far as story wise, but it also kind of makes it a little more complicated, because you're like, oh, what was that character's name? Oh man, it's just Elf Ranger. Like you're looking for a name, and you forget that, oh, it's Goblin Slayer. It's just priestess. It's just Goblin Slayer. It's just Elf Ranger. Mystic Dwarf. Like, I find it unique in its own little kind of way. I like unique shows. I like things that they may be the same category of anime, but they do things a little differently. That's why I really enjoy the show Frieren, because a lot of anime, it's about legendary party. These people create a legendary party that goes and ultimately defeats the bad guy. That's the whole show. Normally, right? The whole show is about that. And Frieren is a play on that, but what it is it's the elf of the party who has lived significantly longer than everybody else, and now that all those people that she was part of that legendary team with that defeated the demon lord, they're all aging up and dying of old age and things like that. And as she's continued to live her life, she's realized now in her older years that she really wished she had paid more attention to those people, that even though they were only going to be part of, a fraction of her life, maybe 5% of her total life was that adventure with them, but for them that was their whole life. And her going through and creating another party with new people, while also simultaneously going back through and trying to remember like what made those other party members special, like what she loved about them, when in the moment she never thought about that stuff. But it's not until later that she's got the retrospective, like, oh man, I really missed that about that person. And now with these new people, I want to try and be a better friend, be a better person for them. I want to be a better leader in the party and all this stuff. So it's interesting that it's not just the create a legendary party, go beat the bad guy, show's over. It's like we're finding out what happened later on afterwards for someone that lives for 3,000 years or 1,000 years or whatever it is.
There you go.
I
And
found
most,
that
yeah, and most anime when they come in also always has the teenage protagonist going out there defeating the bad guy, like you said, in groups and bunches and everything. So yeah, that's how most of it starts right there. Anyway, so yeah, build up the story. Usually kind of the same formula, but a little bit different, as you said. So yeah, yeah, man. But
so
very interesting.
I remember we kind of touched base that one night I was chatting on the live
Mm-hmm.
about that you weren't really too big of a fan on uh, Attack on Titan.
Mm.
Uh, you care to go down that road?
Yeah. So I tried watching a couple of the episodes, and I don't know if it's just me, but I I don't know. You got the giant. Titans are taking over. They're breaking through the border, and they're jumping on everything. And I'm just like, I don't know. I watched maybe a couple of episodes. What was that, Arca?
Kind of like Mexico's doing to the U.S.
Oh Lord, no, oh, no, no, not like that. But it just, I don't know. For some reason, that show just, and I didn't watch a lot of it, but it just didn't resonate with me as much as I thought it would. But like I said, a couple of these animes I'll have to go back and give a try to. But yeah, I know
I
that was your favorite one. That was one of your favorite ones, Hotbox. Yeah.
No, Attack on Titan. I mean, I wouldn't say
Well,
it was. That's definitely not one of my favorites. It's one
hmm,
of the ones I have like a biggest pet peeve about,
that might have been
and and,
okay.
and it's because of the final season. Um, the a lot of the stuff I don't particularly care about. Like it is what it is when it comes to a show. But when you spend an entire anime series building up, oh no, we don't want this thing to happen. We don't want this thing to happen. Oh my god, we don't want this thing to happen. And then go into the final season and be like, oh, okay. It looks like the whole beginning, like first part of that season is about of the final season is about, hey, they're really trying to make that thing happen. We got to do everything within our power to make sure it doesn't. Before it was just a boogeyman. We've heard tellings about this thing happening before, blah 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 blah. But then it turns out like no, these in this season, these people are really trying to push for this thing to happen. And so we're going along and they're building all the stakes and like they have these epic fights trying to stop this event from happening. It's called the rumbling. And the rumbling is basically where the people of paradise, their walls around the city are actually made out of titans, and if certain criteria are met, the walls around that were made of the city are going to crumble, and the titans within are going to start walking off into the world to stomp the world clean. And that was like the whole like doomsday scenario of the entire show. And spoiler warning, I mean, too late for that, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, if people get mad, they can get mad. I don't care. But
Okay.
they spent the entire last season trying to stop the one thing, which was from Aaron making contact with his brother. I think it's his brother, but they're not allowed to talk. They didn't want Aaron to touch the other guy in any kind of way, because if they did, that would allow the founding Titan to start the rumbling. And they did. There's this huge fight scene, all this cool stuff going on. The stakes are at its highest. It's at its highest. It's at its highest. And like it comes down to a moment where the Beast Titan is like reaching out to touch Aaron, and Aaron's like running in his Titan form, trying to get to Beast to start the rumbling. And as he gets close, he gets shot in the head, which takes Aaron out of his, takes him out of the fight. But at the last second, like they show in that episode, towards the end of it, they show him finally make contact, which is supposed to be like, oh crap, here we freaking go, right?
Right.
Well, instead of actually showing the rumbling start to happen and everyone start to freak out, they go into a flashback for 20 minutes. and it's all about the main character talking about to the founding Titan and explaining to the guy, I cannot remember his name, but the other guy, about how you thought this was this way, but I was really manipulating everyone the whole time, this, that, and the other. And it's like a whole diatribe about this stuff. And it's like, you just had me so hyped up, like ready to go, like, let's go, what's going to happen, to just derail that 100%, to slow me down to hear huge monologues, and then to come back and we don't get to see what actually happened with the rumbling. The rumbling is already mid-going.
So during the flashback, you're saying that's when all this is happening, and we kind of missed that part completely, and now here we are.
Yeah, the part where the part where this should be showing the walls crumbling down and the Titans emerging and starting to trample everything, going outwards into the rest of the world. That's when they're doing the little monologue. And they come back from the monologue, and you just see a bunch of beast Titans walking. And it's like, why? Like, that was supposed to be like the climax of the whole thing. Like, it made no sense. I'm like, you just, like, why? It's like it just, to me, it doesn't make any sense. Don't build up something that hard and then don't give the payoff.
That's a lot of backstory, a lot of stuff, especially like that's a perfect example right there. And I'm sorry, I go back to Bleach too. There's just a lot of just backstory that's just like, okay, this is how it is, but it doesn't really relate to how it got to this point right here. And it's just like, well, that's nice, but like, it's not relevant to what's going on.
It's like,
tips out stuff like that, and I'm like, man, look,
it's cool. It's not like I didn't want to know that information, but I didn't want to know it at that specific point.
Yeah.
It's like, tell me before or later or after the fact, I don't care. But in that moment, like, that's the moment you decide to just completely derail the pacing and just have it go off a cliff. Like, that's...
Do we know why the writer, why they did it that way? Is there any, like, I don't know. That's kind of, in that particular spot, I don't know.
I think, I want to say, this for story reasons. I didn't read the manga or anything like that, so I don't know. But I would assume maybe it was to save on animation costs, because if they were to animate all of that, it would have been a lot harder than to do a flashback scene, explain all this backstory, and then come back in and have to and just show these big giant Titans stomping through the world versus what are the logistics of showing the animation of all the walls crumbling away, and like, what were the people in the town thinking when that happened, and all this like I think it would have, for them to show that would have been too much more work. I'm assuming for the animation studio. I don't know if it was shown in the manga, if it was paced that way in the manga. I have no idea, because I don't read manga.
All right.
But
yeah, I'm gonna read some more manga as well. Yeah.
For me, it just seems like that would be the reason why, just to save on animation time and costs, because it would be very difficult. I mean, that's why filler exists, time constraints, and we got to save some money here and there.
Yeah, there's a lot of filler in Bleach. Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, and they've just broken it down into secret missions and stories and stuff like that. You can just go back and play it, or go back and read through it if you want to. But yeah, man. So if y'all are just joining us, having a very spirited and riveting conversation about cigars, anime. Come on, bring some questions in that you have, and we'll happily answer it. And anything you want to talk about, it is tonight, cigars and anime. So yeah, man. But yeah, it's going pretty good. You're checking us out.
What was I gonna say? Um, dang. I had something in my head and then I lost it while I'm trying to relight this cigar because it keeps going out on me.
Mine does too. Yeah. Also, how is that at Opus, by the way?
Mine started just burning in the middle.
Mine's canoeing. We got
Mine's
middle.
Just burning in the middle. It's just burning right through the middle. I just keep having to light the outside.
We got 3 different things going on. Yours is burning in the middle. Mine's canoeing, and Hotbox is trying to relight yours a couple of times too. But
I think that was like relight number 4. Maybe because I'm talking too much. I'm not sure.
That's fine. Yep, I do the same thing.
I keep having to relight the outside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty good cigar. I mean, I can't knock it at all. It's got lots of flavors in it. It seems like it's from having to relight it so many times. It's kind of losing its pizzazz.
Yeah.
But it still hasn't turned super bitter on me yet. So I mean, I can't complain about that.
A lot of earth in this one. A lot of like earthiness and wood in this particular Asylum cigar on here. Okay, what are you getting on yours? Like any flavors in particular? You just getting?
I can't tell all that.
Oh, okay.
I know it's not. I know it's a pretty good cigar.
Okay.
I'm not as detailed in the flavors as most people are. Either I like it or I don't.
Fair enough. All right, man.
Yeah, it's for me. If when I'm in the review mode, like I have to be completely like locked in. When I'm talking with friends and stuff like that, I'm never thinking about the cigar. So like, if you were to ask me like, what am I getting out of this? I'm going to tell you the same thing. It's good. Like I haven't really thought about the flavors. I'm getting a little bit of sweetness every now and then. I have no idea what kind of sweetness it is, but it's coming in. I am getting a woody note. Don't know what kind of wood it is, but
yeah.
When I'm just chatting with friends, like if I'm at the lounge talking with my boys and I smoke a cigar I've never smoked, and you ask me how it's going to be, I'm like, it's good. So, well, I like it. It's great. It's phenomenal. Or it sucks. It's a trash dog rocket. It's a trash stick.
Oh, keep it real.
Even if I was sitting smoking by myself, though, I couldn't tell you either I'm enjoying it or I'll get aggravated with it and put it out and quit. But I'll sit there and smoke. When I'm by myself and I smoke, I sit there, I'll almost fall asleep doing it.
Yeah.
If you watch my original first couple of reviews, you see that I'm looking down to my, like towards the end of the clips, I'm always looking down on the left. That's because for some reason when I'm thinking about a cigar, I got to stare at it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's gotten such a habit because I look up at the camera, talk, say whatever it is I'm going to say, and then look down. And I'm like, I got to stop doing that. I need to just think about it, write it down, and then before I go to talk to the camera, read what I wrote down, memorize it, and then look at the camera and repeat what I just read versus the constantly looking down thing.
I don't know, though. The looking down at it's kind of a cigar thing. Everybody looks down at their cigar when they're talking about it or thinking about it. So
just staring at that sucker like it did something bad to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, you're right. Yep. Yep. Yeah, come on in and jump on and join the conversation. Cigars and anime is the topic tonight. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel, of course. Check out Hotbox if you're not subscribed to the man. Y'all check him out. Got some good reviews and everything, and bring your questions down. We'll happily answer them, man. Happily answer them.
I'm gonna have to go back and look to watch through Ben's live because I must have missed it. I mean, I took a nap and then woke up and cooked dinner, and then by the time I was done with that, I was sitting here with you.
Yeah.
So
I caught like the tail end of it. I was actually going to pick up these cigars for the live stream, and I just happened to see Ben. There he was. He was in his car hanging out and just live streaming. And I'm like, oh, hey. So
hotbox in his car.
No, this was our friend Ben. He was doing a live stream of a cigar he was smoking.
Smoking a cigar in his car. Still hotbox in his car.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
So the reason why I'll actually explain it here since I've never really explained it. I live in an RV, and I smoke inside. I hotbox my RV, and I live in South Texas. It's hot. It gets hot in here, so that's why I came up with HotBox Cigars.
Very nice.
Because I'm literally in a hot box, hotboxing the cigar.
Very nice. I see the intro to your videos. You got the RV, and it's like HotBox Cigars. And I'm like, oh, that's where that comes from. So that's
Yeah, I found that just to try and I had to use AI to create that just so I could try and give people a reason, because people see the name and they're like, I hope you're not hotboxing your cigars. I'm like, because people when they say that, they think you're smoking them too hard or too fast,
right.
and then you make them all bitter and gross. I'm like, no, that's not why that name's there. It's because I smoke inside my camper, and it will get, if I don't got the fans going on, it will get real smoky in here.
I bet, yeah. I bet, yeah.
I mean, when I had the kid and the wife, I would go outside, but recently divorced, I got my freedom. Right. So if I could smoke in here, if I want to smoke in here, I can smoke in here. I don't have to go outside and sweat.
Oh, yeah. Luckily tonight it's not too bad, but that's probably why I have these at night. I try to do my reviews when it's not so hot. But yeah, I get it, man. Yeah.
I mean, y'all got that wicked humidity though.
Yeah.
Like, I thought our summer humidity was bad in the 60s, but looking at y'all's, it's like, no, y'all ain't playing.
No.
I thought,
in fact, yeah, Hawkeye, you were saying earlier, right before you lit your cigar, it was a little bit wet or a little bit moist on
now. Yours and mine too.
Oh yeah, see, that's kind of Mine is not as much, but kind of I don't know if it was just that one that I gave you in particular, or
no. Every one of them I smoked out here with you's been like that.
Okay, that's good because I just got that one from the store. I don't know. Alabama's crazy.
The others you've just gotten out of your humidor,
right?
So
I don't know.
Well, I mean, y'all are. I'm sitting in the mid, kind of mid high 70s for humidity. Okay. We're at 70. We're at 77% right now, which most of the time. It's usually around the 65s, but we got all that storm that's came through, and there's still kind of some storms in Texas going on, so we're a little high. But like y'all been 80 plus for weeks now, even at night. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, there's that's got to be affecting your experience. And I have another friend that lives in Alabama. He's like, bro, I put them in my dry box and they still get wetter.
Yep.
Like, that's horrible. You got to put the cigars in a bag with some silica packs in the dry box.
Right. That might be, yeah. Oh, you have to do there, but man, my goodness, man. Well, hop on in, man. We have been going at it, cigars and anime. Don't forget to like the video, share it, man. Bring back some memories of some anime maybe you watched growing up, something that might be good, something that may be coming out. So yeah. Yeah.
I got a question for you. Do you have a particular moment or scene in an anime that like got you like super hyped up for the first time? Anything like that?
Yes, I did, and it was 12 years old. Late night watching Yu Yu Hakusho of all things, and it was it was just the camaraderie of those the four Yusuke, Kuwabura, all those guys running through the maze of the castle, trying to go up there, and them just all kind of bonding together, trying to do it. Two enemies becoming good guys, trying to, save the spirit world and all that. And I was like, oh my goodness, are they going to make it all the way through and defeat all the different levels and everything? And there was always those moments where, episode after episode, they leave you on those cliffhangers. Like, what are you going to see next? And so that was my really big moment. Like, oh my goodness, friends becoming, enemies becoming friends. That's also another thing in certain animes too. So that was always kind of cool. They all have their own different personalities and everything, but yeah.
Okay.
Moment.
I explained to you a little bit, before we went live about my first super hype moment, which was, after all those years of not watching anime, starting over with Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah.
And towards the end of the series, when, the old man Netero goes to fight the big bad guy of the show, and he's finally talking about like this whole thing. I've always wanted to fight someone that, no matter what I did, they were going to be stronger than me, so I could finally put my everything into a fight. and
Yeah.
then he finally pulls out his big, 100 Type 100 Bodhisattva, whatever it was called. I call it Shiva, and
Yeah.
this big golden figure manifests behind him and just starts dropping hands on the big bad guy and slapping him across the room. I remember at that point in time, like I was just like, yeah, get him, and like man, screw that guy. He deserves it. Take him out. You're gonna die now. You're gonna die now. Like I remember just being like so hyped about that. And then I told you about in preparation of this, this tonight, I went back and I rewatched that episode just to be like, man, like, was it really as hyped up as I remember it being? And it was like, oh my God, I've watched so much more anime since then that like it just didn't hit the same like it did then. But like I'm still gonna always keep that as a fond memory of like my first ever moment. And then of course the second moment of all time was when Gon awakens and you see his adult form for the first time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he is serious. He about to kill somebody. He is not playing nice no more. Oh, that's gonna be great. That was the second time I really got hyped for an anime.
Also, now that I think of it, Meruem, Meruem.
Yeah, Meruem.
That's I don't know why. Like I'll think of something like, oh, that's what it is. But that was his name, the main antagonist there. But yes, Gon had that. He was grown. He was swole. He was ready. But yeah.
I still find it so cheesy with how tall his hair got. But other than that, I was like, he for real. He is not gonna play around with this dude.
Oh yeah,
he is pissed off.
No doubt.
No doubt.
And I guess you know what that's interesting, Hotbox. And you may have already answered the question just with what you said, but what anime has stood the test of time? Like now, you said you went back and rewatched, that episode, but it didn't get you as hyped as you thought it would. And I guess for me, it would be the old school Pokemon with Ash Ketchum. It was years ago. I watched it. I was slightly like not out of work per se, but I was kind of transitioning between departments. This is it was like 7-8 years ago.
Is Ash not the main character anymore?
No.
Oh dang.
No. Yeah, you way. Hawkeye, you way behind. Yeah, with that. But yeah, I went back and watched the very first episode, and I'm like, being in the 6th grade, I'm like, oh my goodness. But being like in my mid-20s, I'm like, why am I watching this? And my wife was like, you know what? Nothing changed. It's the same show from the 90s. And then nothing changed. There he is, doing his thing. And I'm like,
man,
this is just like,
I'm telling you, I watched that as a young kid, and all the things that there's a lot of stuff from watching it as a kid I don't really remember.
Yeah.
Or it didn't impact me as much, but rewatching it now as an adult that has a child, I'm like, I felt like so emotional the first time Pikachu really gets hurt and Ash is crying, running back to the Pokemon Center to get Pikachu fixed. I was like, oh, poor Ash. Oh, poor baby. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, your little buddy got hurt. Like, the dad in me kept coming out in that show. And then, we sat there and watched because, I mean, if you watch all of Pokemon, it's the number counts up there, too. It's I want to say it's in, like, the 800, 900s. It's up there if you try to watch all of Pokemon. And we did. And it was so funny that me and my ex-wife would be watching an episode, and we'd pause and just be like, who the hell let this 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid, he'd be jumping on trains, he'd be jumping from train to train, he'd be doing all this wild shit. I'd be beating my kid's butt. Get your ass home, boy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hijacking, stealing cars and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell my little boy, like, don't you ever do that. Like,
no.
I will.
Boy, was a different time back then. Yeah, man.
My cousin back in, I guess it was the 70s or 80s, something like that. He where they lived, there was a train that would go from basically about from the school up to the road near where they lived, and they would so him and his friend, they were 15, I think, decided they would hop on the train while it was riding and hop off right there. Well, anyway, it was going too fast when it got to the road they wanted to get off on, and his friend jumped off, but he was too scared to. He ended up in Georgia about 4.5 hours away before somebody figured out he's on this train.
Oh wow, that's crazy. This is it was a different era, different time back then. Yeah, we would run across, jump across train tracks, go under there. You can't do that mess now.
When I was in first grade, I moved to San Diego with my mom and her boyfriend at the time. And I remember to get to school, I had to jaywalk across 6 lanes of highway traffic every day to and from school. I'm like, what the hell was I doing? Why was my mom or her boyfriend letting us do this? And all the kids from our apartment complex were doing it. And I felt so like, now that I'm an adult, I'm like, what were those people thinking every morning? Like, are we going to kill a kid because there's a whole line of kids just running across 3 lanes of traffic, hopping the median and then another 3 lanes of traffic? I was like, man, I would lose my mind if I ever saw my kid try to do that. Like, are you first grade? First grade,
yeah.
Well, I mean, in the summer, especially in the summer, but even during the school days, during the summer, we'd go all day and almost never see our parents sometimes. I mean, we would just be gone in the woods or gone, down the road, whatever. We'd just be like, hey, we're gone. Our parents didn't care.
My rule was, when the street lights come on, your ass better be inside.
We didn't have street lights, so that didn't work. They just had it dark.
Yeah, before it got dark.
Or at least let us know where you are at dark.
Exactly.
Yeah, when we lived in the country, it was definitely get your ass home before it gets dark. But once we moved into New Braunfels and we had street lights, it was like, okay, when the lights come on, you got about 5 minutes before my mom's going to come out and start hollering.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get your ass back in this house right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it kept us mostly safe, but
I was right at when you turn 13, you've got a phone. At about when I turned 13, it was common for teenagers to have phones just then. So we had phones, so my parents were kind of like, if something bad's going on, they're going to call us.
So
hopefully they're not dead.
My parents refused to get me a cell phone once they, this was like the Motorola Razr days.
Yeah.
And I would always all my friends at school had cell phones and I didn't. And I was like, man, I want to be able to text my homies. I want to be able to text my friends. They're like, oh, I don't want to call you on your landline. If you can't text, I ain't going to talk to you. So I felt like out of the loop. And I would go home and I'd beg my parents, like, man, can I have a cell phone, please? Like, you don't have no reason to have no cell phone. They got a phone at school if you need to call us, and otherwise, just blah 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 blah. Well, in my neighborhood, at that point in time, it was, God, it had to have been 16 when I first got my cell phone, and it was because one of my friends at that time, he used to come over on his motorcycle, and my friend had come over earlier that day and was on his motorcycle, and then he left. And then a couple hours later, some other friends of mine came over that actually had a car, and I left with them. And turns out that after I left, someone up the street from us hit and killed someone that was on a motorcycle in our neighborhood. And my parents only heard about hey, there was somebody on a motorcycle on our street that got hit and killed. Yeah. And my parents had no way to contact me to check on me. And when I came home, my parents were like, where were you at? Like, I was with my friend Justin. We went to the mall in his car. Like, the neighbor boy? Like, yeah. Well, we know your friend was over here riding his motorcycle, and I was worried that you got on the back of that motorcycle with him and you all took off, and somebody up the street got hit and killed on a motorcycle, so we've been worried about you all the time, and blah, 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 blah. Like, they were just screaming and screaming and screaming at me about, like, you got to let us know when you're going to leave this house, this, that, and the other. I'm like, Mom, get me a cell phone. You could have called me. And
Right.
the next day I had a cell phone.
Just like that. Dang. That's, yeah. Hey, that'll do it, man.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Put the fear in them. What's up, Cigar Brother?
Oh, man, Cigar Brother, what's going on? Appreciate you coming in, Cigar Brother. We'll have to do a one-on-one as well, or a group chat, or combination of all three. So yeah.
But
yeah, appreciate you coming on, man.
Okay. Another pick your mind moment about anime.
Come on.
Can you remember a specific moment in an anime that made you get emotional?
Yes.
Or cry?
Yes.
You go first, and then I'll tell you what mine was.
All right. Wow. I got to go back to when it was. And I go back to Yu Yu Hakusho. It was literally the very first episode when Yusuke, he tries to save the kid from, he's bouncing the ball on the street, and Yusuke's like, "Watch out, kid!" And he pushes the kid. He tries to, push the kid out the way and everything, and he sacrifices his life, and and I guess it was the mom with the kid who was like, "Mister tried to, he tried to help me, but he's laying in the road, he's dead." And I'm just like, no, it was like the very first episode he was breaking down. I was like, oh my gosh, and I choked up. And then there was like the very first couple of episodes, not knowing later on he's going to be a spoiler alert, the spirit detective, and so on and so forth. But it was just like, oh my goodness, he's dead, he's gone. Everyone's like, he was kind of a grumpy dude. He was a bully and everything, but now to see him, he's gone, and just like, oh, I don't know. It was like the kid was like, "Mister, you played with me. He was so friendly, and he did that." I was like, "Oh, it was so sad." I was like, "Oh, that one got to me." That was the one I could think of right off the top of my head. I know there are probably more, but yes, that one just like, kind of pulled me out there. But yeah.
So the very first one that really got me upset. I don't remember if I cried back then, but I remember being genuinely like sad. And that was when Krillin got killed by Frieza.
Okay. Dragon Ball Z.
I loved Krillin. I have a lot of people hate on Krillin, and they don't realize that is a normal ass person with no special superpowers, keeping up there with people that he had no business being able to keep up with.
Yes, he did.
Like, true. If he had, I'm sorry, but you call it a hot take or whatever, but if Krillin was a Saiyan, he would body everybody. His fighting technique, and he's so crisp with it. Like, if he had the same strength of body, of his strength of will, and be able to compete with the same kind of raw, natural talent and power that Goku had, he would body all of them. I agree. Jiren wouldn't have stood a chance. Nobody would stand a chance against Krillin if he was a different being.
I agree. So, I agree with that too. Yeah.
When that the shocking moment of, you think that Frieza's trying to kill Dende, or not Dende, the little boy, the boy Namekian that's on the planet, and instead it dodges him and just hits Krillin, and then he throws him up in the air and explodes. I was just like, yo. Yeah. Why you gotta do my boy Krillin like that? Like, that's not cool. And bruh. And then Goku showing up on the scene like, yo, you're not gonna do my homie like that. No, like, it's game on. You done messed up for real. I'm not gonna show you no mercy. And then, of course, in the end, he tries to show Frieza mercy anyways, which didn't end well. I mean, if you believe that Frieza was, redeemable at all, then you were kind of fooling yourself. But Goku wants to see the best in people.
Yeah, that's his. Yeah,
that's his fault. That's his one thing that he always wants to do. Which so many people always tried to warn him, like, that's going to be the one thing that gets you killed. Which it wasn't the only thing that got him killed, but
no. Oh, God. The Saiyan DNA, yes. hey, Cell, here's a sensu bean. Go beat up my kid now. Like, there you go. Like,
watching that again as a
go,
father,
what
I'm
the
like,
hell, bro?
Goku, someone needs to take his damn kids away. What the hell? Like,
Oh, yeah.
you gotta let that man completely recover, and then be like, okay, you good? You good, Cell? You're 100%, right? Okay, here you go, little 8-year-old, 9-year-old Gohan. Go fight him. Don't die, but go fight him.
Yeah, now you're at your best. Yes. Just craziness like that, man. I don't
And
know.
even then, without Goku's, help, his emotional help and not being there, and like Gohan still would have got bodied, but
Yeah.
he channeled his father, and it took his father's helping him in the end to finally defeat Cell.
And spoiler alert, look, if y'all have seizures, don't watch that last scene. Don't, but that scene where he's putting down, don't, just look away and then it'll be over. But yeah, even in Dragon Ball Super, with speaking of Krillin, he still tried to keep up with Goku, and he's like, damn, I know it's been years. Goku, you've been training. I've been doing the police thing. Let me see how strong I really am. And he still tried to keep up with him. He's like, yeah, I ain't got nothing, but let's spar real quick. And but you gotta give Krillin his heart, man. He really
Yeah,
does.
I mean, you gotta put some. I mean, you gotta put respect on Krillin's name.
Oh,
Like that
absolutely.
dude, and the voice actor for English Krillin, Sonny Strait.
Mhm. Yeah.
I adore that man. He's got such a cool personality. I follow him on other social media, and
Cool.
he's like he's a really cool. He seems like a really cool person. Like I would like to.
Some of those.
I would like to sit down and like just chat with him about what it's like to be one of like the voice of one of like the most underrated Dragon Ball Z characters of all time.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, as far back going back into the emotional moments in anime as an adult, the scene that broke me, which is in One Piece, and it's not anything that you've seen yet, but there's a scene. I want to say it's right after Innie's lobby, and something very. I don't want to spoil the show for you, so I'm trying not to talk about what happens. But there's a moment that's going to happen there where you're like, oh, I know what's coming. They've foreshadowed it. They talked about it. But when it finally happens, and you're going to hear the words, I'm sorry, come out. And as soon as you hear that, bruh, I started crying, ugly crying, dude. Tears just crying down my face.
Oh,
No, no, don't say that. Don't do that. No. And there's some other scenes in One Piece, later on in the show, but that was like, I let's see, you've gotten through Nami's arc.
mhm.
So
Yes.
Nami, when she freaks out about Arlong and starts attacking herself with the knife,
Mm.
and Luffy walks up and says her name, Nami, and she stops and she turns around with those eyes and her tears, and she's like, please stop them. And he's like, no. And she's like, please help. And then he takes his hat off and puts it on her head, and then just slowly turns away, walks away, and he doesn't even stop to talk to Sanji, Zoro, and Usopp. Just walks right past them. They were close enough to see what was going on and to overhear it, and they just fall in line behind him, and they don't say a word until they get to the Arlong Park, and Luffy kicks through the doorway. I was like, go get that man. That man needs to pay. Like, don't do... Like, I didn't like Nami up until that point, but like once you find out more about her backstory and like why she was doing the things that she was doing, I felt so bad for her. And I was like, and then to have all that taken away by Arlong and thrown in her face and made fun of and laughed at and treated like she was a slave and led along all those years just to be betrayed like that, and like emotionally, like that was her most like devastating moment so far in the anime, other than like her childhood past. But like in her more adult years, like I was just like seeing a grown woman cry like that. if I would have seen that in real life, I would have been just like Luffy, like, I got this, girl. Like, stay right there. I'm gonna go handle this. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, she went through a lot. She really went through a lot just from the moments I've seen on One Piece. But man, the tattoo, the navigation, trying to do all that stuff for him and being manipulated to do all that. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's almost still alive. There's some other moments that are really cool. There's a moment in Innie's lobby when they're going to try and rescue someone, and there's an iconic scene of, I cannot remember the English voice actor's name, but there's a very important line where one of the voice actors has to basically tell Luffy that she wants to live, and that's the thing they needed to hear from her to go ahead and say, okay, well then we declare war on the world government and we're going to save you no matter what. Her finally breaking down, because telling them like, oh, I don't need you. You're not my friends. You know, I never loved you, this, that, and the other. And then to finally admit that she did want help. She didn't want to die or be taken away. Like that scene, that one broke my wife. And because it broke my wife, it broke me. So, and then, you know, we both ugly cried in that, because right after that, a little bit after that's when the main thing that had me ugly crying happened. And I mean, we looked at each other after the end of the episode, like, I'm not crying, you're crying. She's like, I'm not crying, you're crying. I'm like, what are the allergies going on right now? We're both over here growing. We're all in our 30s and we're over here crying. Like, we're not crying.
My wife, and I love her dearly. Every time I'll turn on an anime or something like that, especially it was when I was watching the Hunter x Hunter, and she's like, "Why are you watching that kid stuff?" I'm like, "Look here, you want to watch? You watch the Chimera Ant Saga. Now you gonna tell me that's for kids? You go ahead and watch that. You tell me, that mess is for kids." And she just kind of rolls her eyes, like, "I'm not gonna sit there and watch through all that." And I'm like, "Look," but she likes Death Note too, also. But it's like, look. That's the
arguably you can turn on game shows again.
I do like my game shows. Yes, that's gonna be next week. Cigars and game shows. No, but she's like, it's just for kids. I'm like, no, not on anime. It's not. But yeah,
cigars and trashy reality TV.
There you go. There's the next one. She likes one. I watch some. Okay, but yes,
I used to be kind of a fan of that stuff, but I mean, once I got into my 20s, I was like, no more. Like, that whole genre peaked at, like, Flavor of Love. with Flavor Flav, like, Finding Love with Tia Tequila. Like, that stuff was, at least it was entertaining. It wasn't just drama the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, Flavor Flav was always doing some wild shit.
Yeah, he was.
So,
yeah.
I liked it back then. Now it's all this, The Bachelor, and everyone's taking themselves so seriously, but
I don't know. Yeah. I'm still stuck on watching MASH reruns, Hogan's Heroes, Three's Company, all that kind of stuff.
He's stuck way in the past, yes.
Yeah. I'm an old soul, very old soul.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I used to partake in a particular substance of the herbal variety, and I used to love to watch MASH while on that. So the comedy for me was just great. I loved watching Seinfeld and MASH, and it was great. Flavor of Love was awesome, man. I love Flavor of Love.
Yeah, I like Cigar Brothers.
He's such a character, man.
Guilty pleasure. Yes, I watched it too.
Oh, MASH and what the Andy Griffith Show has sophisticated comedy and slapstick comedy, but also both bring a realistic perspective, and I love both shows because of it. They just kind of combine reality.
One of the stars from my hometown. Woo.
I mean, I can see how, over the years I finally watched probably a good 80-90% of MASH. And I remember watching that final episode of them when the series finale, and then they're flying off the island and all that stuff. They're saying their goodbyes. Like, oh, that was. I could see how that was, very saddening for people who were like really big into that show. Because like that was a pretty emotional moment.
Yeah.
The real final episode where they all said goodbye, and probably the most actual emotional for the actors, was the final regular episode, not the series finale.
Because they filmed the finale afterwards, right?
Yeah, filmed the finale this summer, and then they did the series the last season through when they would regularly do the season. But so the actual final regular episode you see is the last time the actors are together to shoot the show. When they bury the time capsule and all that.
Okay, I don't think I actually saw that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm scrolling through my list here of topics about anime. Oh yeah, and that Netero versus Miriam fight is on this list of epic all-time, epic fights. Which it may not stand the test of time, but I remember first time watching that, I was super hyped. What is your opinion on like the really long anime fights? Like, are you a fan of them? Do you not like them? Do you think they're horrible for pacing?
I like them. I like them if it's got a good start and everything, and it's a little annoying because back then they break it down to episode after episode. You got to figure out what's going on next. But I like the fights for the most part, because it looks like your character's down, and just like I go back, I guess Dragon Ball Super, and I know Hawkeye, you're still watching. I don't know if you've gotten to the Tournament of Power yet.
Here's my thing on the on all, especially Dragon Ball Z. That's really the only, besides some Pokemon, but that's really the only anime I've watched, and I watched when I was younger too. The problem is you don't get to see the end of the fight in one episode. They fight for like 30 seconds in the episode, and the rest of it's just talk and conversation about the fight between other people and the fighters. You only see like maybe 5 minutes of fight max for the whole episode.
True.
Oh, and a big pet peeve with that is when they have, you're excited, like, maybe today they're gonna finally beat Cell, and then like the spin, like, those episodes back then were only 22 minutes long, and the first 8 episodes of the minute is talking about what happened in the previous episode. It's like, bro, come on. Like, I just watched that last week. I don't need you to spend half this episode telling me about what I watched last week. And then it's like 4 minutes of like the fight, and then the next week they're gonna talk for 8 minutes about what happened during that 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
They knew what they were doing. They knew our schedules, and the schools and stuff like that. We only had so much time to watch those shows and stuff.
There's I believe it still has the record for the longest anime fight of all time, and it's in One Piece. He purposely wanted to break it. I believe it from when the fight first starts to where the fight finally ends is 71 episodes.
Oh wow.
And I mean, luckily they don't do it's paced a lot better than most of those long fights really are. Because they'll be showing like half the episode will be about what the other members are doing, what the other people are doing in the episode. Because they're not all just standing around watching the fight. They've got other shenanigans that they're trying to do because they don't all make a plan. They're very haphazard about how they go do things. They all kind of split up and go do their own thing and achieving their own missions within the ultimate goal of taking the bad guy down.
Yeah.
And that one fight, like, it goes on and on and on. And luckily I would say it would probably only be a probably 30. It'd probably be as long as the Cell fight was, if they weren't spending half the episode talking about showing what the other people were doing while that fight was going on. But I did like that, even though it was a super serious fight. I do love that Oda will take the time to completely stop all of the seriousness to do something like super super silly in the middle of it. And I'm like, oh my god, did he really? So one of the in that fight, the villain has to stop to eat lunch, and it's a whole ordeal, and it's like, oh my, it's so ridiculous. But when it's finally, it's finally over, it gets back into the action. I feel like they did a good job trying to break up like just the sheer monotonous of fight after fight, continuing episode after episode after episode. Like, I feel like they paced it a lot better than a lot of other animes would have.
Yeah.
So I don't mind a long fight, but like, don't just drag it on and on and on and on. And I think a lot of the shows that are doing that, that were doing that, they were doing that in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they've kind of grown past it. They've realized that, like, yeah, you have the same things going on episode after episode. The kids will lose track of where they were in the fight. They don't know if they watched last week or not.
Right.
Like, we gotta break it up a little bit somehow.
I agree. No doubt, man. Long fights, but yeah.
I am done with that opus now.
All right, man. Very nice. Very nice.
I got it down to a pretty good little nub.
Nice. Nub-worthy. The nub-worthy opus that.
Come
yeah.
on, Nub.
Nub it up. Hey, everyone's showing up the nub, so now you're having a good conversation and everything.
Yes, sir.
Good.
I think I'm going to light up this Rocky Patel 1990 next.
All right.
Something I'm more familiar with. I've had it at least one other time.
Nice. That was a really good cigar. That when I first smoked it, I was like, oh my gosh. And for the price and everything, that was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I might need a second cigar for the live stream, so let me, I live out in the country outside of San Antonio, okay. So the closest cigar lounge for me is probably 35 minutes one way.
Mm-hmm. Same
for me to be able to go pick up cigars. And I was thinking about it 2 days ago. I was like, man, I probably need a second cigar for the live stream just in case. Like, maybe I'll get an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours out of it. And then like, I'm going to be sitting there like, I don't want to be pulling on my vape in a cigar show, because I'm a nicotine fiend. Like, even right now, that entire time, I had a Zen in this entire time. I'm a nicotine fiend, so I got to be concentrated on.
Yes, y'all nicotine types are better.
I mean, it's all subjective.
Yeah.
I just get them because that's what the local store closest to my house. I mean, even that's a 10-minute drive. So that's just what they carry. I've tried the other stuff that they offer and I don't like it. But I really like the coffee flavored Zen, which for me, since it's not a spearmint or a peppermint flavor, it doesn't affect the taste of cigars at all.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting that little bit. It tastes kind of like a French vanilla cappuccino.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I've never had a cigar that it took away from the experience.
Exactly.
So
nice. We got it's a Cigar Depot. Actually, it's about 5 or 6 minutes up the road, and they got a pretty good selection of sticks as well that we'll have. So we'll go up there. But there's another one that's a much bigger lounge in the main city. We'll go and get some stuff as well. There are a couple of cigar shops here in the Birmingham metro area, so we'll go check them out sometime.
Yeah, I didn't want to, I didn't want to go all the way into the city to pick up a cigar, and I was like, I know the smoke shop, the vape shop down the street from my house. They have a cigar humidor in there, but I I never check those places because I know most of the time those humidors inside of smoke shops, they're just what they're being stocked with is what the manufacturer, the wholesaler is trying to offload.
Yeah.
And specifically here in San Antonio, I know who the main supplier is for 99% of those vape shop humidors. And it's always the same product. It's always something that they do not move in their actual location. It does not move. So, I went in, but I was like, well, I want to find something. Like maybe they'll have something. And of course, it's filled with either stuff that really sells to anybody at any point in time, like, the Sweet Mary Jane by Deadwood. They had some acid Kubas, but I was surprised, to find a Rocky Patel 1990 in there. I was like, ooh, I want that one, and it was actually for a decent price. So it was sub $10, and I was like, oh, hey. Most of the time, you go in there, you try and buy they carry, of course, they carry Cohiba, and the American Cohiba, but they want like $25 for a red dot tubo, and I'm like, ain't no way. And they had the only other cigar that they had that I was thinking about picking up was a Nub Maduro, but once I actually I saw the Rocky Patel tubo there, and I was like, oh, it's Rocky Patel, but I didn't really pay too much attention to it.
Yeah,
and I'd already decided, to grab the Nub Maduro, and when he finally opened up the cabinet, I grabbed one of the Rocky Patels and looked at it. I'm like, oh, that's a vintage 1990.
hey.
I'm sorry, I don't want that Maduro. I want this vintage 1990.
There you go.
And I was like, can you tell me the price of it? And he's like, oh, well, the nub is $13, and the vintage 1990 is $9.99. I'm like, I'm taking the Rocky.
Nice, yeah. Hey, man.
I will take the 90.
Nice. And this question can be for our panel on here or anybody in our chat. Do y'all go off of the brand of cigar when you're going through, you're looking at something, or do you just go for a specific stick or anything like that? And of course, Hotbox, you're our guest tonight. What do you just go for anything or specifically, or just like, hey, I'm just going to try something and try it out, or are you?
Okay, so give me a second to finish lighting this, and I'll give you up. The center doesn't want to stay lit, but I don't want to hit it again. Okay. Oh, that's so good. First puff is just like so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
I think mine's about done.
When I first started smoking, I wasn't of legal age to do so. I don't recommend it for anybody. Just saying, like that, I had no business doing it. I shouldn't have been doing it, but it is what it is. But at that point in time, it was all flavored and infused stuff.
Right.
And I'm older now, so the legal age to smoke at that point in time was 18.
Right.
So when I first turned 18, I remember telling my boss that I just turned 18. I can't wait. And I can't wait to go buy, officially go legally buy my first cigar. And, I went to the local lounge that was in downtown New Braunfels in the historic area, in the historic district. I don't remember the name of the shop at that point in time, but they had a really nice white vanilla fudge flavored cigar. And I was like, I'm gonna pick up one of those for me, and I bought one for my boss, and because I knew he was a cigar smoker. Which, now that I know, there was very little chance that he was actually into infused stuff. He probably did not smoke that cigar, but maybe he did. I don't know. But I remember being like, oh, it was so good. But at that point in time, when I was right at 18, I was smoking a lot of infused and flavored stuff. I was a big fan of the acid Kubas. I didn't like any of the other acids. I liked smoking trying to try the other like Java, and I don't think Tabac was a thing back then. I'm not sure, but Tatiana was, and I liked them, but I wanted a bigger smoke like the acid Cuba Cuba was, and a lot of those Tatianas are the smaller cigarillo types. But once I graduated from that, I skipped completely over, because when you're smoking flavored stuff, it doesn't matter if you smoke it fast or not, you're still going to get those flavors. So I kind of got into smoking them too fast. And so I tried for the first few times to smoke something lighter, a Connecticut or a Habano or something like that. And they always just tasted bitter to me. I never liked them. And I always explained to some of my other friends at that point in time, and that one of my friends whose dad was a cigar smoker, they were like, well, why don't you try some of the darker cigars? And I was like, well, I always thought the darker just meant strong, and like I'm so new, I don't want to get into the dark cigars.
Right.
And finally, after his recommendation to go ahead and try some of the darker stuff, I tried it, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm getting flavors, and I'm actually finding like regular cigar after cigar after cigar that I can try, and like, this is a good cigar, I like it. So I became very bigoted, kind of against the lighter stuff, and I've stayed that way for a very, very long time. I mean, I'm 37 now, and I'm only just now within the last couple months even being open to trying these other cigars. And talking to some other cigar friends and stuff like that, it turns out that I was smoking them too fast, I was smoking them too hard, and that's why they were turning bitter on me. I needed to ease, when I wanted to take a puff, I went, and you can't smoke a Connecticut hard, or it's going to you're going to lose all the flavor, and it's going to turn harsh on you. So I've predominantly, most of my life has been smoking Maduros. It came in, and like I would literally tell the tobacco shop manager who I was working, I want the strongest, darkest, most rich flavored cigar you got. So I would before, when I didn't care about what I was picking, I would just walk into a shop like, oh, that's dark enough, grab it. Dark enough, grab it. Take it home and try it. It's either gonna be good or it's not. Whatever. And that's how I ended up going through a lot of bad Gurkhas, was trying to find a Gurkha that I liked that was good, and I eventually found one, but it took a lot of hunting, and eventually found out that I did like the Gurkha Ghost Gold. I didn't enjoy the silver as much, but the gold one I liked a lot better.
Nice.
And I stayed with that, and then I was like, well, apparently strong cigars don't affect me, and so I started going after like really full strength, full body stuff. And like I went and tried the LFD Double Lajero, trying the LFD Lennox, San Andreas wrappers, Oscuro wrappers, and things like that. And I'm like, oh, these are just in my wheelhouse. I have no need to try anything else. But I've realized, now that I've been very pig-headed about the lighter stuff, that there's a whole other world part of the world of cigars that I've basically ignored. So now, more recently, I'm trying to explore more of the lighter stuff, to try and figure out, like, man, like I hear about, oh, this cigar, I'm getting vanilla and whipped cream and marshmallow. I'm like, I've never had those notes. I would love to try those. So I want to find that stuff. So that's basically what it was. It was always just 90% of the time, I grab a dark Maduro and grab a few of those, and then continue on about my business. But now I'm more open to, hey, if someone says it's good, they would tell me to try it because it's a banger. I'm gonna try it. I want to try it. So
great. Yep. And like our brother said, a little bit of both. And to be honest, I also go off the look of a cigar. Because why not? The same way. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. It's definitely your flavor, your preference, things like that. So definitely.
I mean, the look definitely matters. I mean, if I can't tell you how many times I probably walked right by this Rocky Patel vintage 1990 in a shop. I never would have looked twice at it because the banding is so plain. There's nothing catchy about it at all. It's very bland banding, and now that I've actually tried it, I'm like, no, this is for the price, for what it is, and like what I'm getting out of it. Like I could easily turn this into a pretty regular smoke. Like I'm over here trying the Warhead Tin La Bamba because it's got a cool box and a cool band. It's got the little fuse, on the tip, so you got to, it comes all the way down the side of it. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I want to try that. And then that was probably the first cigar that I had where I was like, ooh,
There you go.
That one, I probably should have ate dinner. That kind of smoke. Like
That's how that Red Meat Lovers was, Lord. I'm glad I ate something before I got out there and reviewed that one. But yeah, man. Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I've enjoyed, the dual shades, just like this one, the Asylum, and then the Mark Twain. I had Riverboat when I had the dual shades of wrapper on there, and that was pretty good. So yeah, I've enjoyed different fusions and flavors like that. So it was
well,
awesome.
and I kind of really bought into the myth about a lighter wrapper means lighter cigar, dark wrapper means stronger cigar.
Right.
And it wasn't until probably about 5 years ago where I realized like that's not a true case all the time, because like if you smoke that blackened S81 shade, if you smoke that thing thinking you're going to get a light cigar, you're not going to have a good time.
Right.
But then I've had dark cigars, a Maduro cigar that's like, yeah, that thing is very mild for me. Like I wish this thing had more bite to it.
Right.
Because I went hunting for all them strong cigars. The Pissed Off Christoph. Like I bought that cigar simply off the name. I'm like, yeah, that's my kind of jam right there.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And Cigar Brother also says, I also always ask the employees or the owner of the shops what's good and what they recommend. I've also discovered many good cigars. But yeah, good recommendations. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I've tried that before, and maybe it's just the cigar scene here, but here, if I go in and ask for recommendations, they don't even bother to ask you, like, what kind of cigars do you typically smoke? What kind of flavor notes do you like? They just be like, okay, go here, buy this, buy this, buy this. They don't tell you anything about it. Like the customer service or like the conciergeness of it, of like, oh, we think you would, what kind of coffee do you drink? Do you drink coffee or do you drink soda? Or do you drink lattes or do you drink chai tea? They didn't ask anything. They don't ask anything like that. It really seems like they just want to push a product on you and get you out the store. Buy it, get out. And I mean, San Antonio is not a small city, but compared to all the other major cities in the state, we have, I mean, Austin, Dallas, Houston, they all have like 2 to 3 times the amount of locations that we do. Like they have a much bigger cigar scene.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what it is. I have my own ideas why I think that is. But I don't think I may not be correct in it, so I don't want to assume or generalize because it could piss some people off, and
Right.
I ain't trying to be controversial for the sake of being controversial. It's just we don't have the scene here. We don't have the culture isn't as rich.
I say same thing here. And I have mentioned in my videos before. It's just like, yeah, it's mainly like me and like a handful of other people. I mean, they have the big cigar lounge. They'll try and do some events and stuff like that, but it's just
I've been in there a couple of times. It was never, there's maybe 2-3 people in there. That's about it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's
prevalent, but yeah.
If you go to a shop around here, if there's 50 people in that lounge, 48 of them are going to be old white folk.
Yeah.
So it's a whole
cigars.
It's a different community here, because a lot of them old timers, I call them old timers. They're not personable. They don't want to look at you. They don't want to talk to you.
Mm-mm.
They don't have the brotherhood. And I'm like, I went to a shop, and it's called Redland Cigars, and it's a really cool lounge. Or the shop itself is really cool because they carry a lot more boutiques and less of the bigger brands. And I was like, oh, I want to check out the lounge area. And they're in it looks like a old converted like mechanic shop. And where you buy the cigars would have been like the lobby of the mechanic shop. And then where the lounge is the entire back area where they would have worked on cars. So the lounge is like 3 times larger than where they sell the cigars.
Yep.
And it's like, and what's really cool is since it's out there, they've put up a ton of decorations. They keep the lights really way, way down. And they gave me a tour. And then I asked, like, hey, how much is it going to cost me to be able to, sit down and smoke a cigar and, like, just chill in your lounge? And they're like, oh, you've already bought, like, 2 cigars. Like, you spent, like, $15. We don't care. You can go sit in there. I'm like, okay, cool.
Nice.
And, like, the lounge it's pretty big. And, I'm used to going to other lounges where it's a bunch of old white people that they don't want to talk to you. So I was, like, by myself. I'm okay being by myself. I'm very much a solo kind of person anyways. So I stayed over to myself, but there was a group of like 5 or 6 guys around the corner in the back sitting on a couch watching a football game. And the one dude who approached me was an older black gentleman. And he's like, hey, what are you doing over here by yourself? And I'm like, I'm just enjoying my cigar. He's like, you play shuffleboard? And I'm like, no, I don't. He's like, well, I'm a regular around here, and ain't nobody gonna come into my lounge without me challenging them and making them play me a game of shuffleboard. So come on over here and play your shuffleboard. And then some of the other guys in the back were like, man, leave that poor white boy alone. Let him just smoke his cigar. Don't you be harassing that white boy. And I'm like, man, like,
that's funny.
Just because you're awesome and you made a point to come over here and try to include me, I'm gonna get my big ass up. I'm gonna walk over there, and like I'm gonna play the game with you. And I shoot it once, and he automatically starts talking trash, but he's not. It's playful banter. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, man, maybe you shouldn't have played me because you're not good at this game." I'm like, I told you I don't play this game. And so it became like a whole banter, like, man, don't you be bullying this guy? He already told you he don't play. I'm like, okay, this is an atmosphere that I can get around. Like I could totally join this. And then I finished playing my game, and I tried to go back over to my corner. I was like, okay, that was fun. Like go back to my hermit hole in the corner over there. And they were like, boy, don't you sit over there by yourself. Get your ass over here. I'm like, fine, let me go get my drink. And they made me like that's the kind of like lounge like I want to be included in. Like, nice. Man, like this whole you walk in and people look at you because I'm a big dude. I used to make really good money. I'm not trying to impress nobody. I will walk into a lounge wearing basketball shorts, flip flops, and a cutoff T-shirt.
Yep.
With a backwards baseball hat, covered in tattoos, facial piercings, and earrings.
Hey.
And people be judging me like, what the hell is this dude doing in here? I'm like, hey, we all come in all shapes and sizes, man.
Yep.
Like, we're all kinds of backgrounds. I grew up being a giant freaking metalhead, But to this day, like if I were to be dragged to a metal show, I'd be rocking out with my long hair and my piercings, my tattoos, doing the windmill head bang while sitting there, take a stop and get dizzy as heck, and then hit my cigar.
That's it.
Gotten too old for that stuff.
Ooh, that's it, man. I think Cigar Brother, as he's on here, I think I left a comment on one of his recent videos, and I was in one of the cigar shops years ago. There's this one guy that's in there, And he was basically like, just kind of dressed up kind of nice. And I'm kind of dressed like this for the most part, walking in there kind of late after work. And he was kind of just like putting everyone down. Like, why aren't you like just dressed up? He's like hitting on the bartenders, talking all this. He's like, I got this company, I got this, and he got these people in the corner. And me and my buddy are just sitting inside, just like talking and hanging out. Excuse me. But yeah, just I don't know. Yeah, it's different, folks. Yeah, different atmosphere and all that. I'm like, dude, I just want to sit down and chill, man. That's it. But yeah,
those people that are like that want to talk down to other people. Oh, you ain't dressed up enough to be in here. Or they say some rude, out of pocket stuff like what Cigar Brother was talking about on his recent video, talking about going back through and watching his old content. Those kinds of people I don't jive with, and I'm a very opinionated person. I can be outspoken. Most of the time I'm okay being quiet, but if I witness some stuff like what happened to him or around him,
right.
people trying to bully others, I very, very quickly become the bully of the bullier.
There you go.
I've done it. It's part of being, I'm not afraid of anybody. I don't care how big you are. I will walk into getting my ass kicked. I don't care if I have to. If it stops you from attacking somebody else, like I will take that. I'll take that ass whooping. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna make you're gonna be dealing with me. You're not gonna be dealing with that person anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, if someone's saying like that, I'd be like, man, shut your ass up and sit down. Ain't nobody here care about what you think.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Seriously.
And I mentioned that in a comment the other day on Cigar Brothers video about that. Like I probably would have got banned out of there because I'd have been like, man, take that shit home before we have problems.
Yep.
Because if you keep talking like that, I'm gonna be your problem. You ain't gonna be worried about the other people in here and what they may look like. You're gonna be dealing with what this looks like coming at your face.
There you go.
And
I feel HotBox, you're the guy, you know, when push comes to shove, you're going to stand up and say something to somebody. I think that's why we get along, because I would do the same thing. I'm just like, man, come on.
I ain't never met a friend that I ain't, like, I don't have strangers. It's just a friend I ain't met yet.
There you go. There you go.
You start messing with people, I'm going to start messing with you. It's just what it is.
Okay.
And I find enjoyment out of it. Like, it ain't nothing. I used to do it to people in school. They'd be thinking that they're going to go over there and pick on the kids playing with their Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, not around me. I may be the jock. I may be varsity football player. I may be, front and stage center at the prep rally up there talking in front of the whole school. But you mess with the little band kid. You mess with the special needs kid. You mess with the little Yu-Gi-Oh dorks. Like, you're not going to do that. No. Not around me.
There you go. All right.
I don't know though. You got to be careful with me because I mess with people, but I only mess with people I like. Just to tease them a little bit and talk to them. But
yeah,
I've never really bullied anybody, but I mess with people I like. I pick on Ray all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, are you really friends unless you're poking fun at your friends? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't. If you're my homie, you say some questionable stuff, I am not letting you live it down. You will hear about it every time I see you. And I'll take something you said completely out of context just to make it something it wasn't, just to pick on you about it. But for other people that I don't know that well, respect is earned, not given, and mutual respect means mutual. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
And if you want me to respect you, you're going to respect me, and you're going to respect everybody in this area. Otherwise, then if you don't respect everybody, I'm not going to respect you. And if I don't respect you, I don't care. I don't care if I offend you. I don't care if I make you mad. I don't care if you never want to come around me again. You ever want to see I don't care.
There you go.
And that's what it is.
That, like, if you walk into the middle of the conversation, you might think I'm really picking on them, but I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
Just our how we're getting along.
What's our banter?
And-
How we
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, and if I see one of the homies start to kind of shut down and like it's getting to be too much, I sometimes I don't always pick up on it right away. They keep going until maybe they're a little upset, and that's why I always tell my friends, like, man, if I ever say something and like it's really getting to you, just let me know and I'll stop. I'm not gonna pick on you because I've been, I'm not gonna make fun of you because you got on your feelings about it. Like, I respect you, man. Like, if it genuinely upsets your feelings, just let me know, bro, and like I'll stop with it. Like,
If I say something that's too
I don't
far,
I don't really think those things about you.
yeah.
Great. I like that. That's a good point. Good point there. Good point.
We have I have a friend who one day in a chat he said, "Oh, that's grody," and me and our other friend were just like, "When's the last time you heard anyone use the word grody?" So we turned it. He just said, "That's grody," and we turned it into, "Oh, that's so grody," and like just picking on it every time. Like, "Oh, is it grody? Grody?" And he just started, "Man, I didn't even say it like that." It becomes part of the fun, but eventually we realized like it became too much. Like, okay, we gotta step back from doing that all the time. But it's you gotta pick on your homies. If you can't pick on your homies, then you're taking stuff way too serious.
Right. Agreed, man. Yeah. Don't take us too seriously doing this. Yeah, we just men, women, just everybody just having a good time, wilding out, man. That's it.
I love when I love when people clap back. I find it fun. I like the banter with people. I like when someone's a smart ass. I'm a big dude. I don't get my feelings about it. And I've had people like say something and be like, yeah, I know I'm a big fat F word. And they're like, what? How you gonna talk about yourself? I'm like, is it not true? Like, bro, your car is driving like this going down the road, bro. Like, I'm sorry, Hank, I can't afford to fix your suspension, bro. And they just like, bro, how you guys go so hard on the paint? Like because self-deprecating humor is fun. It's funny. You can't be taking yourself too seriously about everything. Like, Jesus.
Well, if you said that, I'd be like, well, at least the car's not going to fly away.
Tell my friends are like, oh man, it's hard to get traction in the snow. I'm like, not with me. I can sit in your tailgate and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
Life's too short to take everything so freaking serious all the time.
Man.
Like, there's a time to be serious. When a family member dies, something serious happens in your life. You just lost your job. That's the time to be serious, whatever. But if we're just boys talking, boys will be boys. I don't do it anymore. But like, being the friends, like when I was hanging out with them all the time, we'd be in our 30s, we'd still give each other that quick pat in the boys. You know what I mean? You gotta pick on each other.
That's it.
We're not trying to hurt you, but just give you a little quick, ring the doorbell, wake you up. Make sure you're on your game.
I know nowadays y'all got to be careful doing that kind of stuff. We're in a different era now where you say something, do something. It's like, but yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be friends with those kinds of people that get upset over that kind of crap, anyways.
Fair enough.
The Japanese culture with the whole 2 fingers in the butt thing, like that shit's hilarious. If someone did that to me, I would die laughing. I'd be like, what are you doing, bro? I'm not gonna be all, oh my god, you just harassed me.
Oh wow.
Like, are you gonna sniff? I turn around and look and be like, you gonna sniff your finger now too? What? Like, I'm gonna snap. I'm gonna clap back. I'm gonna be trying to be funny with it. I'm not gonna get all of my feelings about it. Now, if you pinch my nipples, give me a little purple nurple or something like that. That shit don't feel good. That hurts.
That does hurt. Yeah.
Like,
That
I'm
That's more
sensitive.
for the
Like,
funny of everybody else around the room, though.
leave my chichis alone.
oh god. Oh
I
goodness.
sitting around camping with my friends. You know, when I'm out camping, it's hot. It gets hot in the summer here. So if I'm out camping in the summer, I don't care. I have no shame. I will walk around with a short sleeve button up shirt that I'd never button. So I'll have the whole everything hanging out. And I'm sitting there one day and I'm just chilling in my chair, smoking a cigar, belly button all exposed. And my friend walks up. He's like, "Hey boy, your your belly button's looking mighty wide open and wet. It's kind of turning me on." I'm like, "Oh, what?"
Button
He's
it
like,
up.
"You better." You better put that thing away before I get some wild ideas.
Oh,
But see, I can't do that because if I walk around
I,
with no shirt on, women literally start stripping.
what?
I was, and it became a whole thing. And he's like, I'm serious, bro. You better put that away." He starts coming at me with his finger out. I'm like, "No!"
Oh my gosh.
Like,
Man.
if I wanted to get all in my feelings about that, like, that'd be the dumbest thing to get upset about. Like, come on. Like, it's just my friend fucking with me.
There you go.
Excuse my language.
All good. That's all good, man. That's all good. Come on down.
Hey, you want to see something interesting?
Uh,
Go on any porn site and look up Rachel Ray. That's his porn name.
oh God.
No. no.
I was worried about what you were about to try and show me on camera right now. I'm like, hey, don't do that.
no. Oh God. Oh,
He
no.
only does that in his high quality videos.
My HQ video.
That's only on the OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Only OnlyFans.
That's where that side money's coming from.
That's how he's making the money to $4 cigars.
Exactly.
I need to. I want to. I would start an OnlyFans for feet pics, but it's going to be more like the old school rotten.com days, not about any kind of positive pleasure out of it. It's more of a horror factor.
Oh, goodness. Well, come on down. The conversation's getting spicy. We went cigars, anime to topics. So comment down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe, everyone. Oh, but yes.
Now all we need is someone to come in and say your thickness and bless us.
Oh, yeah, that stuff was so weird on that long live stream. That stuff was so weird. Yeah, so right before I had the software and everything, it was a couple of live streams back, and it was in the very beginning of the live stream. You got some, I don't know, those folks were lost or what, or they were just trolling me. They said,
"Oh yeah,"
they're like, "Hi, thickness, hey, smile," like weird stuff they were saying. I'm like, y'all know this is a cigar channel. I'm just talking. I don't know where y'all came from, but okay. But
you should tell them to subscribe to your OnlyFans.
Oh, I should have, man. That's money. That's money missing there. Just go.
Subscribe to. You want that kind of content? Hit me up on my Patreon.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Oh man, but yeah, having a good day.
We ain't had any trolls in here tonight. Not that kind of.
Mostly everybody we know. Mostly
kind of makes me sad.
Oh,
now that I said that, we're gonna get hate rated by like 700 of them.
Oh goodness, that's usually how it goes. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But man. So do you have any anyways, back to anime.
Yeah.
Do you have any pet peeves with anime that you have, like either with a way they tend to do certain things, or the way they animate certain things? Because I definitely do.
Yeah, and I know Hotbox, you probably don't, you haven't really watched Bleach and everything, but when it gets good, it gets good. And I know they probably do this to cause you to keep watching, but it's like they have these little tiny filler episodes where they take a break from the main story and they kind of do like a little sub story and in the middle. But it's kind of like, yeah, that's nice, but it's like, can we please get back to now? My whole week, I'm watching this one episode. Now I gotta wait next week to see what's going on with that. Those the older animes and stuff like that, but there was I think it was right in the middle of the, and I know you haven't watched it, but the Waco Mundo whole Captain Eisen era of Bleach. They had these little mini episodes with the what they called it. I think it was like the mod souls that were on there, and they had these little episodes where one of the mod souls helped out somebody in the city, and it was nice and all. And then they had another one where the kids were like fighting through the city, but it was so unrelated to what was going on. I was like, okay, y'all, I know y'all threw this in here just to do that, but it's like, oh. But they did it, and I'm like, okay, maybe they did this once. But then they did it again, and they did it probably 2 or 3 episodes. And then by the time you get back into the main story, it's like, okay, can we get back to the fighting, please? That is the certain part that I was enjoying. But those are just my little pet peeves here and there. But nothing too like bad, but
that's kind of a thing with a lot of TV shows, especially now.
Yeah.
Like when I watched Big Bang Theory all the way through, a lot of I watched it after all of it was released, and I watched it on TV. I mean, on streaming.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. If you don't watch it straight through, like on streaming, you're going to get so lost. There's like the story of the season will skip. Like there'll be 2 or 3 episodes where they don't do anything with the story. It's just like fillers.
Right.
And then it'll come back into an episode or 2 with the storyline, and then you'll have about 8 with the storyline, and a bunch of them without not knowing what's going on.
Right. You'd have to watch, like you missed an episode, you'd skip a beat. So, or you'd miss,
Well, if you watch it week to week, it'll be like 3 or 4 weeks before you're back on the actual storyline, so it would suck. Whereas if you watch it just straight through, like on a streaming service, it's about 3 hours, 2-3 hours. You're back on it.
So, the show that made me freaking hate filler was Naruto.
Yeah.
And that show, the base Naruto series has like 250 total episodes, and then it goes into the Naruto Shippuden. And I didn't realize till after I watched that show that a good 40% of that show does not matter at all.
No, that's like interesting.
It's 40% filler. It doesn't drive the story. It does not drive the story in any kind of a way. It's all these side missions and side things, and it's not actually having anything to do other than maybe a little bit of character development and relationship development, but narrative development is not there at all.
Yeah.
And people are like, they hate One Piece because they're like, oh, One Piece has so much filler. And I'm like, most of the filler is in between major arcs. They have a major arc where they're in the arc, and then they get done with that arc, and then there's going to be 10 or 15 episodes of the side stuff that doesn't matter. You skip it, and you go the next arc, and suddenly they're at the new island, and the stakes are raised again. They're doing something that matters. But I mean, if you look at the percentage rate of what One Piece has of filler compared to something like Naruto, it's I want to say One Piece total has 10% filler compared to Naruto's 40%. And people are like, oh, all these other shows have like, yeah, maybe it's more episodes, but the percentage is not nearly as high.
I'll get some paper towels.
I agree with that, and that may have been why on One Piece there was a little bit of filler in between those 2 seasons I was watching. I was like, well, that may cause me to stop watching at that point, but I'll probably pick it up, after that. But
and you can find on now, if you don't want to watch any of the filler just to get the gist of the story, you can find episode breakdowns that explain like what episodes to skip to save you all the stuff that does not matter to the actual story.
Yeah.
Which it makes the experience much less tedious because it does cut out a good 120 episodes that you don't have to watch that matter not at all. Now, even then, there's some of the filler episodes that they don't matter at all, but they're still pretty good. There's one of a little girl that's trying to help this old dragon find its resting spot where it's gonna go to die. And like the whole episode is them trying to help the little girl get this old dragon to its final resting space. And like there was a cool moral of the story, you know. Like she cares about animals. Like there was something there to it. I mean, did it matter to the story? No, but at least she was a cool character that, you know, had more life to her than just random character B, C, Z that does not matter in any way. It has no important feelings, has nothing to contribute to the story at all other than just being there.
Right.
And but one of my biggest pet peeves in anime is still something I'm seeing a lot of to this day, and it's very aggravating to me, is a lot of people are not going to like this that actually watch anime. I liked Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling was really good. But I took I hate animes that their whole way of showing how cool a fight is by just turning everything into a flash of color or two colored dots bouncing around the screen, smashing into each other. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this cigar that if you watch the anime awards, like Solo Leveling swept like so many awards, including best animation, and I'm like, the whole climax of this most recent season, you know, the big final bad guy at the end of the season, that whole fight, like, it's basically boiled down to a red dot versus a blue dot smashing into each other on the screen. And I'm like, you have all this money, you have all this hype, you're going to get all this, you know, you just won all these anime awards, you got all the money, like, you're going to get the money from the animation studios, like, properly animate the stuff.
Yeah.
And that is a huge pet peeve of mine. And another, like, I understand for logical story reasons why the main character of Solo Leveling is basically overpowered and stuff like that. But I really don't like how, like, they hype up this fight like it's going to be some big test of strength and going to be this big, oh, whatever. Like, oh, I'm super worried. Like, I got to go train and make sure I'm this, that, and the other to be ready, prepared for this S-rank dungeon. And then he gets to the bad guy of the S-rank dungeon and he bodies it in 30 seconds. And I'm like, that's what happened with the end of this last season. Like, they fought for a whole 2 minutes after that, like, they did a better job animating the big bad guy decimating all the other characters. And then when it's time for him to finally have that final showdown with the main characters, it's like, oh, they're just flashing colors bashing into each other. And then it was over in 2 minutes. And I'm like, all this, I feel like I'm being edged by the show. Oh, it's going to be so cool. 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 And then they just walk away. And I'm like, I'm left wanting more. And I'm like, and not in a good way. It's not like, oh, that was such a cool thing, I want to see more of that. It's more like, that was so underwhelming for what it was supposed to be, that I'm just like, I'm not sure. Like, I'm gonna watch the next season, but if it continues down that same path, I'm not gonna be a fan. I won't continue to watch it probably past the third season. I'll give it a couple seasons just to see if it starts getting good, because I've kind of spoiled myself on the show. I kind of know what the whole story is about, his true power and nature like that. I understand for what he has the power of, he's going to be OP, very overpowered for what he's dealing with right now. But still, show him at least struggle to try and figure out that he's OP. And they haven't done that with the show. He's just like, oh, I'm OP. Well, that was surprising. Oh, well, I guess on to the next thing.
Right.
And it's like, it was such a letdown for me. It's like, I want to see the actual struggle. If it's not going to be a struggle, don't paint it to be like it's going to be.
I agree. I do agree with that too. Yeah, there are very, and I guess my favorite, even my favorite animes, they have very ridiculously overpowered characters. I don't know. I mentioned Yu Yu Hakusho earlier, Hotbox. I don't know if you've watched Yu Yu Hakusho.
I have
That
not.
one in particular. Well, I'm sorry, y'all. Whoever's watching or watch this later, you know, Yusuke, the main character, the spirit detective, is so ridiculously overpowered. I'm gonna spoil it just a little bit, but you get to the tournament with all the demons and everything in the spirit world, and now surprise, Yusuke is actually a demon through it all, and he's super overpowered. And now it's just like we waited through all that just to find out later on he had an old relative from centuries ago who's now a demon, and now he has that at the very end, and that's how he wins, you know, the tournament and becomes the lord or over all the spirits. And I'm like, well, okay, you know. And his other comrades are, you know, they've got their somewhat of a development too, but not really, you know. They're just kind of, they're supporting him but not contributing as much, I guess. But yeah, I get that. Yeah,
More of
even,
so it's a one man show.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a one man thing. So even with Bleach, it's like, you know, he's a Soul Reaper, and he's a, you know, a Hollow, and he's a Quincy. He was related to a Quincy, so he has all three of these powers. He's trying to figure them out. Meanwhile, his other partners in the show are just like, are we not good enough to hang out or even fighting alongside you anymore? It's like, we're just here and you're doing everything, and it's like, well, yeah.
Why do these characters even exist if they're not going to be a part of the story?
Yeah, and they've done a good job with the video game, the Rebirth of Souls. They've done a pretty good job. You know, if you go back to now, they have the main story, then they have the backstories of all the other characters that aren't the main character, and they got their own backstory. So it's nice that it's not super focused on the main character, but they have their own kind of side story and things they're doing too. That's what I'm working on right now, and what I was doing before I got on the show was going through all those backstories and secret missions. So it was kind of nice to see their perspective and then kind of what they contributed to it, you know, when you look back on it. But yeah, that's a lot of overpowered stuff. I mean, Goku, they always say now he's a god. Now he can just touch stuff, and now everybody gets defeated. I'm like, bro, okay, you know, it's like, well, Goku. Well, you're watching Super. You'll come across that.
Okay. Oh my God, yeah. His hair changed another different color. Oh, he's a next level of awesome.
Yeah, and the internet's gone. Everybody's going crazy. Look, yeah, just.
One thing you got to remember though is that they make these shows. I know you're talking about the color changes and some of the little things that throw y'all off, but remember that these are made for Japanese kids, which is a whole nother culture. Which this is probably, you know, a whole different. They like a whole different thing. The color changes and all this stuff, and the lights are probably what glamorize them more.
Who knows?
Yeah, like you said, Hawkeye, it could be.
It's all just a subjective thing.
Yeah,
it's all subjective. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, "Bro, what are you talking about? Like that's so cool," but it's just something I don't like. I don't expect anyone to agree with it. I don't expect anyone to think it's the coolest take ever. Like some people be like, "Bro, this guy's an idiot." I don't.
Right.
Well,
I don't care. It's just what I think.
All that changes when he powers up is his hair color, the light around him, and his eyes. Sometimes his eyes change when he turns into a god. Like all it is color changes.
That's a trope that's gotten pretty old. The aura thing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so cool because he has this aura. His aura is so powerful. Like, can we like? I even realized when I was watching the Netero versus Miriam fight, like he finally gets smacked around by the old man's little Shiva thing, and then all of a sudden Miriam has his eyes turn red and his aura comes out, and like that's supposed to tell me like he's playing for keeps now. I'm like, for me, it's like it's a crutch that they rely on too much.
Yeah.
And it kind of gets old. Like if you're gonna power up, whatever. But
Well,
they rely on that trope a lot, and it's like, can we show some other thing? Did you watch Seven Deadly Sins at all, Ray?
I did. I watched the first season of Seven Deadly Sins. Yeah. I
Oh
watched
man,
the
they're
first one,
one of my favorite, most like quote unquote disrespectful moments in anime happens in that show, and it's this. There is no aura farming kind of to it. He's just like, oh, you think you're powerful, right? Yeah, yeah. You are nothing compared to me. And he just the guy Escanor just straight bodies the dude, and he just talked to him like he was a child. He's like, oh, you think you're some this, that, and the other? He's like, yeah, your strength pales in comparison to what I could be. It just straight murks this dude. Like he's like getting his butt kicked so hard. He's just like, what? How is this even possible? He's like, oh, guess what? It's high noon. It's time to get your ass whooped. And I'm just like, yes.
Nice.
Because his Escanor's got the power of the sun, so when the sun's at his strongest, he's at his strongest. He's basically an invincible god. And I'm like, that's so awesome.
Nice.
Like he doesn't have really an aura. He's just he'll take your strongest attack and be like, get off me.
So they ripped off Superman. Doesn't Superman get his power from the sun?
Yes, he does. Yep.
They ripped off Superman.
Oh.
There's a lot of that stuff that carries over from over there to here and here to there.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like that there's a moment in One Piece in basically where Luffy and the animation stops being Japanese animation and turns more into Looney Tunes animation. And it's only during specific times. And when it happened the first time, I was like it was supposed to be like the moment was supposed to be like a super hype moment. And I was ready for it. And I already seen what happened as far as like what transformation took place. So I was spoiled on that from people not caring and be like, ooh, Luffy had Gear 5 and start posting Luffy's Gear 5 photo everywhere. And you could not avoid it. And no matter how hard you tried, you could not be spoiled to see what Luffy looked like at Gear 5. But what I did avoid was waiting to stay away from the Japanese animation or anything to do with Gear 5 until it was dubbed in English because I wanted to watch it first before my son could watch it.
Yeah.
And when I finally saw him transform and like how he was and how the animation changed was just like, that's freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like I never thought like they would, instead of getting even more hyped with crazy animation, they would actually just switch it up and go to more of a Looney Tunes animation style where his eyes come bulging out of his head, and instead of showing him speed with just him running and everything else blurring behind him, instead he gets like the Roadrunner feet, like, which is not something they did in that style of animation. So seeing that was like, yay, they did something like unique for that style of animation. I was like, it's not unique to cartoons in general, but like no one's doing that. Like that was pretty cool. And then once you find other people who've actually been talking about it, like there's been subtle homages to Looney Tunes type stuff for a very long time throughout that whole anime. With, if you watch the first time Luffy blows into his arm and blows his arm up huge, that's a Tom and Jerry thing.
Yeah. Wow. Lots of similarities to that, yeah.
So I,
Very-
I do like when they blend styles. They decide to do something out of the norm. They do something unique.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I literally have
Good combo. Good
this
combo.
this humidity is must be seeping into the house because even this one, it's been dry boxing for 2 days and it's still having a hard time staying lit.
Yeah.
Um, so I know you have watched a little bit of One Piece. You know, I don't know if you ever noticed, but Sanji, he's the chef who's
Mm-hmm.
always smoking cigarettes. That ST DuPont has a Sanji lighter, right?
Hmm.
And they released it. It was like a limited edition. And it's just the soft flame because Sanji was a cigar smoker. It didn't have a torch, but I remember seeing that when it went live. It was like $14,000.
$1,000. Wow.
Yeah, because it looks. I mean, it's exactly like his in the anime, and it's
Wow.
like I would never spend that kind of money on a lighter ever in my life. I don't
No.
care if I had. I don't care if I had $1,000,000, but
Mm-mm.
boy, if I was going to, it would be for that one
Wow.
because that's cool. That's some anime type stuff that I really like.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
Like I like collab stuff where two things that have nothing to do with each other decide to work together and do something unique. So I really like that's cool. Like this French cigar lighter decided to make a freaking cigar a lighter from an anime. Like that's cool. Like when you see like these manufacturers of firearms put out like a Hello Kitty gun, like I wouldn't buy it, but I still think it's cool.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Uh here's a hypothetical hypothetical question for you or for anybody that might be watching. What are some anime theme brands of cigars that you would think of, like of a such and such cigars, like
When you say anime, just the way that it looks, or just like
if the
uh,
name, the banding, if there was a band on it that you think would look cool or would interest you, if you saw it you'd be like, that's cool, that's dope, I'm buying one. Like, is there any?
yeah, I think it was just this one, the Asylum Ogre, the 13 didn't have an ogre on it, but had the skull, the cross, well, not the crossbone, but the skull on it and everything. And I looked in the shop for like a good 20 minutes. I'm like, what, would look kind of like an anime like cigar. It's this one. Like I said, I think the Johnny Tobacco Nut with the astronaut on it maybe would look something, somewhat anime related, or look something like that. That's the one I would kind of go
So
towards and do that. But yeah,
so one of the ones I kind of came up with thinking about was if there was a Capsule Corp brand cigar company,
yeah,
I would totally buy those cigars.
I would too. That
I'd
would
be
that
like,
would look really unique. They had the little capsule court building on it and everything.
yeah, I think
Yeah, that would be cool.
that'd be dope. Capsule Corp. Um, if Smoker had his own line of cigars, I would probably want to try one of those out.
Yeah.
Something like some stuff like that. Like I think there's a missing. There's missing. They're missing kind of a market on it. It'd be for a niche market, but I mean, there's plenty of boutique brands that don't really. They're not trying to get that broad appeal. They don't. They're not trying to sell 10 million cigars a year. They're happy if they sell 10,000. And I think it would be really cool. Now, getting the licensing to do it is a different story.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know, but I've I would probably buy some blends if they were named after some Pokemon.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I would too. I would
You
at least, yeah, like you said, just to kind of experience it and try it out. That would be, yeah.
just to
That'd be
have
tasty.
just to have it the band in my band collection. Be
I
like,
agree.
bro, I smoked this Gingar cigar. You know what I mean? Like that'd be pretty dope.
That would be. You gotta get you a good dark Madeira, a darker blend. It's Gengar smiling on it and everything. Like, hey, try
Well,
that one. That would be.
you know, I saw that new Cohiba Spectre box that came out.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it. It's a cylindrical humidor, and when you open it, it's got like teeth like this, and when you open it, they're meeting together. As you open it from the top, this one opens, and then this one opens, and then this one opens, and this one opens, and it's like 12 layers that do this till it opens up all the way. And in the middle, it's got a thermos, or it's a stainless steel canister like travel tube, and then
Yeah.
it's got the 10 cigars in their own little stainless steel tubos. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, dude, that would be a dope ass Jurassic Park style fucking cigar humidor type thing. You know, open it up and you got like these vials. Like it'd be cool to have something like that, or a Capsule Corp style, humidor box. That'd be dope.
That would be. That would be. That would be really cool. That'd be really cool with that.
So I was like, that's a dope concept for a humidor. That's interesting and unique. Now, do I particularly like the Cohiba American brand stuff? I'm not a super big fan of it, but the marketing on that, the idea of that was great. Like 100% something new other than just a square box.
Right. Yeah. I
Like
agree with that.
that one's really cool. Like if I'm gonna pay the premium and the box premium is part of that expensive cost, at least give me a dope box,
Yeah.
something unique. Like I'm willing to pay an extra $5 per cigar to be able to get a box that comes in a box of cigars that has a really really unique box.
Indeed.
Like the fancy, I wouldn't say it's fancy, but the Warhead boxes that look like like an old school bomb.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen. Yeah.
Those are dope boxes.
Nice. All right. This is good, man. This is good. And anybody else is watching, y'all get in any of your last minute questions. We have got the 3 hour mark, having a good conversation. Our special guest, Mr. Hotbox Cigars in the building. Special guest Hawkeye as well on the back. Going over cigars, anime, life, and everything in between. Y'all leave some last minute questions. We're going to slowly wrap this one up, man. We've had a good conversation and everything. So, yeah, man.
You need me to get anything else?
Nah, I'm good. Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Let me break shit.
No, don't break anything on here. But yeah, Hawkeye, you got any last minute that you want, or any anime or last minute thoughts you have?
I'm tired. No, it's been a good conversation. Just steady going. I'm about zoned out now. Smoked 2 cigars. I'm chill.
He's chill. He's good.
Yeah.
He is good. That is awesome. Awesome. Yep. He looks like run this one down. And Hotbox, you have any last minute thoughts or comments, anything? It looks like we've gone over it all for the most part, but yeah.
I could talk for days about everything, man. I could go for hours more, but I mean, it's already midnight here, so I'm sure it's midnight over there for you as well. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's always more times.
Yeah, I mean, definitely make some more streams and put more things together, man. But this has been a good conversation. Hotbox Cigars in the building, doing the thing. And Hotbox, do you want to plug anything or anything else where you go out or anything you want to watch anywhere? You got any videos you got coming up? Any new reviews or anything?
I just put out a review the other day for my, what was that? The Arturo Fuente Anejo number 77 Shark. which is
Okay.
the first, the first time having that. I've had the anejo one other time, but it was the first time getting a shark. That thing was freaking delicious, and
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of spending that kind of money on a cigar. It was gifted to me because I would probably never really spend that kind of money, but I wanted to talk trash because like, oh, it's an expensive cigar. I don't think any cigar should be that expensive. But hey, I smoked that cigar. I was like, well, maybe some cigars can be worth that. So that was an interesting thing. Um, I did recently, just to today, I received a package from Tandeman Stogies.
All
He sent me over some cigars to do an unboxing. I filmed that. That's going to be coming out soon.
right. Okay.
He's a brand ambassador for Legendary Cigars, so he sent me some of their stuff over to review. That review will probably come out tomorrow. I'm nearly done editing it.
Okay.
I just having I needed to get some of the information to film the voiceover because I have really bad vision. So trying to get the name of the cigars like during the unboxing video, I'm sitting there like I can't read this. All right, I got to do a voiceover for this. I got to look this stuff up. That's just all all I really need to do, and that one will be done. That'll probably come out tomorrow.
All right.
Otherwise, I film when I feel like it. Whenever I feel like, sometimes I don't want to film. Sometimes I just want to enjoy a smoke. But I do have, I got some more Avowed stuff I need to review. I need to review the Chimole, the Chimole line.
Okay.
And then I have of course, the three legendary cigars, factory cigars that need to come out. And then beyond that,
Okay.
I have a My Father Le Bijou. That'll be my first time having that one as well. So that'll be another review.
Very
But
nice.
otherwise, other than that little bit of stuff that's going to be coming out over the next little while, that's really all I got.
Nice. Well, we're gonna look forward to seeing it, man. That is
Yes, sir.
awesome. Awesome. I'll probably have a couple of reviews coming out pretty soon too. And I still got to finish my cultural cigar aficionados. My last video for the June series, although a little bit late, better late than never. But I'll finally put that one together, do the voice, and put together the clips and everything. So that's gonna be coming out next. So yeah,
Okay.
man, that's awesome, dude. Awesome. Well, thank everybody for watching. Thank you, Hawkeye, for as usual having my back on this one. We're gonna wrap it up right here. Y'all go subscribe to Hotbox Cigars on YouTube. You said you had an Instagram too.
Yep. Same
Was
name on Instagram as well.
Hotbox Cigar. All right, man. Well, that has been awesome. Y'all know where to find me. Y'all know where to find Hotbox. We're gonna wrap it on up. And everybody, thank you again for watching. We will see y'all next week for another wonderful live stream with Ray Cigar Lounge. Y'all take care, smoke your best sticks, and any comments y'all weren't able to get in, or if y'all want to watch this later, comment section will be open. I always read them, always review them. So we'll see you then, man. Hotbox, thank you again for taking the time out to be with us.
It
And
was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
yeah, definitely, anytime, man. We'll definitely chop it up, do it again. So, all right, we're gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna close this stream out. Good night to everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We love you. Take care. All right, playing it, and we gonna play us out.